Hello everybody, and welcome back to some WARNO League action here, as we are back into the top level Division 1 action here, coming our way today, as we have a good couple of games to cast here, and we're gonna start with a really interesting one on Vertigo. Two heavy tank divisions between Bottom Feeder and Joker Tot battling us out here, and what do you think about these two divisions here coming our way?
For Vertigo, both of them fit like a glove, which is very well. The long-range engagements, the importance of having a mobile force that can engage and change the engagement as soon as it is required. Everything here speaks of armored divisions. Of course, armored divisions do have their recon and infantry capacities, which are totally enough to fight over these core areas, mostly in the center with the Citadel and on the Delta Point. And the of course, like you've probably heard this a million times at this point, but third US heaviest NATO division, arguably maybe heaviest and slowest division in the game, does have the biggest tanks and does have a massive amount of very good updated M2A2 Bradleys with 5 front armor, TOW 2 Ace. It like a bunch of Apaches out there, Eagles even. Third US has everything, except it does not have a reliable opener that can actually take ground. We're already seeing bottom heater going hard on the snipers. Actually, a full card of snipers getting bought here, which are cheap and very good recon. And but outside of that, there really aren't that many units that can actually take ground. And meanwhile, we can see on Joker's side, we have Alouettes, of course, recon helis providing perfect knowledge. You have a bunch of Aufklärers getting transported in Fuchses. Now, the Fuchs here is an interesting pick, and I believe it is taken because American recon units don't have anti-tank weapons. So even the Fuchs with its light MG3 can actually get a free kill if the Aufklärer meet an American recon team. And there are also the Lux recon vehicles with the autocannons. These are weaponry that is lacking for bottom feeder. Bottom feeder thus it kind of has to play around the tank blob, which consists of 2 Chaparrals, 2 Bradleys, and an HA super heavy Abrams tank. Meanwhile, so that blob will have to go and engage the enemy. It will have to start trading up, because if it doesn't start trading up, the positional and map control advantage of 5th Panzer will probably help them get into good positions in the late game. 5th Panzer does have a bunch of ATGMs that are capable of damaging the American super heavies. 5th Panzer also has lighter tanks such as Leopard 1A, 1A1s, which the Americans lack. These light tanks can provide really nice fire support and fight well against the Bradleys. And in the end, it can also bring out the Leopards, frankly, way faster than Abrams's. Even with the Leopards getting the Leopard 2A4s getting a price increase, their speed and their penetration capacity, and the fact that they don't pay for all of this massive extra armor, this means that the HA Abramses are probably going to be fighting numerically superior enemies if nothing else is concerned here. But 5th Panzer also significantly worse worse air tab, does not have proper fighters. This might actually be a problem if the tank blow becomes unstoppable. There's going to be like F4 AT planes that get sent against it. That's not going to be the most efficient counter.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see that Joker brings around the Jaguar 1, because this is with Panzer. They still have the Jaguar 2s, which have the TOW 2. The Jaguar 1, a bit cheaper, has still a good accuracy missile with the Hot 1, and that's still more than enough to one-shot a Bradley, and I guess that's why they're here, hunting down Bradleys, because against the Abrams, you really want the extra 3 pen of the TOW 2. But yeah, Jaguar 1 a bit cheaper, and has still this good stealth and so on for the Jaguar 2 as well, like the tank hunter here with the ATGMs. So Those will be interesting. It's all a bit cut down in price here for 5th Panzer, so it's all a bit of a cheaper, faster start, and they most likely will be rewarded with Delta and Charlie for it. Question is, can they hold the big push coming south? Bottom feeder, known for his mechanized play, always plays like this. We just saw on this map last time around a static play that was completely out of the ordinary, where he didn't buy stuff for 5 minutes straight so that it couldn't be struck down by air or anything else. And like, if you don't have an M1A1 HA on the battlefield, it can't be killed. And then he brought it all out in a wave. But bottom feeder is playing the more standard style here, coming around with a lot of Bradleys, and will come here towards the alpha point with a lot of force.
Yeah, the Joker's investments into Bravo are purely defensive. There's only a one Leopard 1 and a Jaguar, with the Milan 2, of course, providing important damage. But now Joker is immediately buying a Leopard 2 here, likely as a result of using the Alouette to spot the enemy attack. And the Leopard 2 only has 16 armor, but it does have 20 pen. It does have a top-level cannon with top-level accuracy. And with only 230 points, having building up the numbers of the Leo 2s is way easier than doing that with Abrams, because the Leo 2 is cheaper than 1 minute's income, whereas the M1A1s and the HAs are more expensive than 1 minute's income. And so bottom feeder really wants to start attacking soon. Only snipers out here to do the spotting. Snipers are extremely stealthy, and especially the American snipers, very powerful at damaging infantry, but it's pretty difficult to advance with them, especially if there's a tank that might, catch you on the move. We're seeing the forward deployment advantage, recon advantage of Joker getting exploited here. Aufklärers are moving deep into the back lines, and the German Aufklärers have the Panzerfaust 44, a 6 ammo, pretty accurate, pretty nice range AT weapon that can be used to effectively harass and destroy reinforcements. There are also Luxes with the very good optics and that are very fast. They can also get in the back lines and having the understanding that your enemy has just bought 3 Bradleys or an HA Abrams, that's pretty significant, especially early on, because signals you that the what the enemy considers important. The looks are even moving very deep up north here.
Yes,
sniper now. Yes,
we have a F-15 out from the get-go here, so bottom feeder plays it super defensively, and that means Joker gets a lot of space, gets the +2 going on, which is always the question: who gets that +2 on Vertigo? Who is the one that has the defensive advantage, because the enemy will have to push into them, and it's absolutely Joker in this game. And that means the 3rd US will have to push in, and this already didn't work for Skivik, who played it pretty slowly as well, played it through the south in a similar matchup. Let's see if it can work for bottom feeder against Joker here.
Yeah, bottom feeder snipers and infantry are slowly moving out there, not taking any risks. Even the Bradleys are getting put into stealthy locations that, in case a bunch of leopards peek up, they would immediately get struck or at least targeted by the Bradleys. So good movement going in here for bottom feeder. Bottom feeder watching the flanks of the Abrams, not driving it blind. Now the Aufklärer is getting spotted here. And also the Leopard getting a front shot by an Engineer's Dragon, but meanwhile the Milan 2 up there on the hill in a perfect position to start doing damage. The damage getting done here is only 3 per hit, but that is very significant when it comes to an HA Abrams.
Yeah, it only did 1 damage there because it had a really close miss there. So the HA Abrams is still in pretty good shape, similar to the Leo 2A3 on the other side. Not so much anymore than the Leo 2A3 though. Gets hit by the Bradley. Bradley fires its 2nd missile with the salvo length of 2, thanks to the launcher on top of the Bradley having 2 missiles. It can fire still 2 in quick succession. Then it has a pretty long reload time now, but the first 2 come out really quickly. So that is scary for the Leo 2A3.
I believe this is old patch though.
Oh yeah, right. This is still the old patch if I look at the balance as well. Yeah, M1A1HA moving forward here. A 2A4C has been spotted. It's still 275 points, so this is on the old patch. In fact, Martyrs hitting the snipers, Engineered Dragons coming around, F109 A2 rolling in here in the rear. The general shift of the balance in this matchup hasn't changed much, so both divisions work quite similar to how they worked on the old patch, especially against each other. But yeah, Bradley is here from the side, firing a lot of ATGMs. The Leo 2s can't eat those. Yeah, another hit against the 84 that has 18 frontal armor, so it at least takes a bit less damage, but in general, any TOW 2 makes a significant difference. M1A1 does miss, doesn't get the kill, so bottom feeder is setting up pressure here, but hasn't gotten into any significant position, and at the same time, Joker is using the mobility of his formation and the lack of forces in the north for a big flanking move here. That could be interesting, but it could also be an absolute disaster, as an M1A1 and an Apache are coming in for these forces, and they are pretty out in the open right now.
Yeah, there is a Gepard that could challenge the Apache, but now with the Bradley in the northwest moving into position, that Gepard is significantly under risk. Now, seeing all of these expensive units, your Eagles and such, kind of tells Joker Tard that there is free space to be gained. If you control that crossroads area that currently has the Leopard 1 on the west side of the middle citadel, that's a very powerful position because you can get amazing recon information, and you can also do these infantry attacks down south, threatening these buildings where the engineers and snipers are currently. This is not the moment to do that, but just having abstractly control over this is very important. Any kind of enemy that can push that area, that can actually kind of hit that wedge, needs to be dealt with, because otherwise there's always...
Jaguar 2 with a potential side shot. Good reaction from the bottom feeder. Turns it into a frontal hit. M1A1 would have been dead there otherwise. But great reaction here from bottom feeder. Keeps the M1A1 alive. OH Scout moves forward, but the Gepard there with the Jaguar, that's a good combo. That's a hard to kill position. You need artillery or a lot of tank forces there to actually kill this off. M1A1 here now in trouble, but it seemingly... the Milan 2 still will hit. It gets killed. Good shot there. Jaguar 1 goes down in the center. Gepard goes down in the north, so the Apache now could come around potentially finishing that off, but the big fight now is in the south here. M1A1HA moving up. The M1A1 going down to the Milan 2. Big victory here for Joker, as every number of M1 that goes down at this stage keeps the stack away, and the M1A1HA here is in trouble as well. It's stunned, and it's killed. And this is a significant change here now in the power balance, as now we have only defensive units here for bottom feeder. The heavy tanks are down, and he is stuck now in front of this point. He won't get into this point anytime soon now, and that is the big problem, because the +2 keeps on ticking here, and it's already 10 minutes into the game. F4 kills the Apache as well. Disaster after disaster striking our player in blue here.
Yeah, and as I was saying, the reason why bottom feeder can't just go all in on Bravo and try to fight that tank blob all at once, the reason why there were so many resources getting sent into that crossroads is that as long as that crossroad is not secure, the enemy can always counterattack, even if you fight for Bravo. There is a mobile defense going on. The Leopard speed and gun aim stabilizer capacity is getting used here. The Leopards are concentrated right in a position where they can't really spot anything, and whenever a recon spots the enemy, the Leopards move in and take the hit. Now, if the enemy were to get into Bravo so well that this kind of gameplay could not be executed, Joker would likely just try to execute that style of gameplay in another part of the map. This would force the Bradleys and the Abramses to start moving, start revealing themselves, and even possibly allowing for side shots with the Milans and PAL 1s and Jaguars that are all around the place. Joker right now playing this excellently. Not many mistakes getting done here on either sides, but a little bit of an overextension happening on bottom feeder. But then again, like meeting just like a group of 3 Leopards right behind the corner. That's very patient. That's very nice from Joker. A lot of people would have used that advantage and just pushed further right into the toe 2 fire waiting for them.
Yeah. CV now actually pushing in there for bottom feeder, has seen a small opening and is trying to take that to at least don't fall behind too far in the point game. And that's a good realization there, as there is really that small opener, and he takes that now to at least stop the take for now, so that he doesn't have to catch up as much later on. Apache immediately eats a roll on 3, is able to evacuate. Bradley trades with a Leo 1A1. That's a fair trade for both sides there. Next, Bradley tries to get a kill onto a Leo 2A4C, but doesn't get the hit there with the toe 2. And the F4 comes around again. Gets shut down by the Chaparrals, but gets the next Apache killed. Oh, that is annoying. F-15 not around to protect it, and the Apache couldn't land in time. Getting killed off there. Alouette, recon on the side here. Spotting anything moving through the forest, potentially. So that's a good flank protection there from Joker as well. Whilst we have another M1A1HA versus Leo 2A4 battle. And the Leo 2A4 goes down to a side shot. A bit too impatient there with the micro. And the Leo 2A4 has the wrong angle, gets side-shotted, gets killed by the HA. Okay, bottom feeder back in the business here, power balance-wise in the south. Takes the next engagement against another Leo 2A4C. The M109 doing a fantastic job constantly throughout the game, taking out a good couple of units already. And bottom feeder now should be able to hold on to his captured point. He still will need to either break through to Papa or be able to hold Bravo so tightly that he can move up towards Delta and Charlie. But for now, he at least is getting some ground again.
Yeah, and it is 28 minutes left, so 700 or 800 points is not unsurmountable. Really, at this point, it's going to be about the trades. Are there going? Is the Leopard blob going to grow in numbers, or is the HA blob going to the group of HAs going to like reliably trade down the Leopards, as we saw with that 1v1 fight where the Leopard got first hit, went on low cohesion. This means it lost a little bit of speed and mobility, and at the second, when it was retreating, it was side shot on long range. Those kinds of engagements are going to be a huge problem for Joker. Joker cannot have them. The more and more, the further this game goes on, the more stuff there is going to be on board. And third US stuff is some of the best stuff, arguably maybe the best stuff for exactly this kind of fighting. We're seeing the Abramses with the Abrams reinforcements actually moving in to attack northeast, moving towards the Citadel. I think that's the right choice. The trap is too well laid in the right side of Bravo, and after capturing the point, there really is no reason to keep going further. So the Abramses are smart to reposition and start going into finding a soft target to attack. Meanwhile, infantry counterattacks happening from Joker to try to get in here. Bottom feeder's infantry is very well positioned so that enemy fire support can't really participate in this, but their fire support can, and the pioneers really want to move away from there quickly. Now Leopard 2s are moving in and getting a front hit on an A1 Abrams, getting a second one.
Oh yeah, go with the side shot from the north. This could be big. It gets the side shot. Really well set up by Joker. Really patient there with the Jaguar in the north, waiting for exactly this moment, and that's where the 22 pan comes in perfectly. Against the 8 side armor of the Abrams, that's still a one shot. It's not as good frontally as the Jaguar 2, but from the side, it doesn't matter if it's a hot 2 or a toe 2, and really well used there by Joker. M1A1HA with an ammo explosion, heavily critted, needs to disengage as well, and a really victorious battle there out of Joker. Leo 2A3 pushing in there again. Ooh, Bradley coming in with a potential side shot against the Leo 2A3. Good micro though. Will only be a frontal hit. Still painful, but can be repaired. Whilst we have 105mm howitzers now on the side of Joker, coming in, trying to hunt down the enemy CV. BO 105s flying around in the middle. F-15 here now, around in the rear again, but not all that impactful. Whilst we have a lot of M901s coming in here. That is interesting. ATJM wall being set up by bottom feeder. but still has to get rid of that Lux and that Jaguar in his northern flank.
Yeah, like the Jaguar up there is a perfect example of how map control kills tanks. Map control gets you results if you use it. Somebody in the chat asked, is Joker's forward deployment advantage going to matter in this game? And well, the recon advantage that has been taken has provided Joker not just with very good recon optics from where I stand looking at the player perspectives, but also this single Jaguar position there has been an attention and point sink way more than and it was free ground. There was nothing stopping it. And the fact that the front line has been pulled that far means that if there ever is going to be a bottom feeder move towards the northeast, there's going to be more space, more time for reinforcements to actually prepare for any attack. Now here we can see an ITV is getting targeted by the Jaguar, but hiding behind this building. Now, meanwhile, another wave of mech moving northeast with the Bradleys. The target clearly is the Citadel here, an Aufklärer unit there targeted by artillery because it can provide basically perfect information on everything in the middle of these two positions.
Yes, and Joker really keeps a good hold there in the north. The Citadel is under heavy siege now, but he still has his Leos as a reactive force. Leo 2A4Cs, 3 of them by now on the battlefield. Those can start to be critically close to one-shot an M1A1, and even HA can take heavy damage from them. Leo 2A3 there gets hit. Bradley's still around with a good amount of ATGMs flying out of them. But Joker, now 900 points up. We are nearly at the halfway mark. Is in a decent position here for now. Just has to keep it up there.
Oh, Jaguar 1 vetted up to elite for a long time now, getting another Bradley killed, and with the sniper not being really mobile enough to provide optics for the tanks here, the tanks kind of do have to go a little bit further than they would want to. There are no recon Bradleys either, and the OH-58s, which would naturally be suited for this, are they're kind of afraid to come out here because so many Gepards can just single burst them down.
Yeah, we finally have the kill on the Jaguar in the north. The M1A1 that did it is pretty damaged, so has to retreat, but the Leos on the other side did a bit of damage as well. Stingers that walked with all of this did go down, so BO-105s now potentially could come around. Yes, Joker immediately moves the BO-105 in there, but an F-15 also immediately hunting it down. Good reaction there by bottom feeder, catching it out slightly outside of the Roland and Gephardt window, and yeah, gets the kill there before it can get a big threat to his M1A1s. So the big fight here does continue. Leo 2A force moving forward now in force against the one single HA that is still up there. The ATGM carriers off bottom feeder, not quite in place. One Bradley does get smoked off there. Scouts and snipers going down. M1A1HA is still in the fight with some Leos. Bradley gets a good frontal hit, but no kill there. M901 still too far in the rear. Bradley goes down. HA Abrams now with the M1A1s in the fight. Joker might have to smoke off. Bradley's going down.
Bradley had turned off its missile for some reason. It could have maybe gotten extra damage there.
Yeah, the HA in the south not involved in all of this. The CV that moved in gets killed. And the 5th US here, 5th Panzer is holding off nicely.
Yeah, there's already a nice amount of supply here, and Joker is doing one of my favorite things to do in the game, which is pre-buying supply, pre-buying units in general, so that they arrive when you need them. One of the best things you can do here. Now we're seeing how the defense in depth works in practice. The quick response ATGMs are coming out there. The defensive helicopter usage is best helicopter usage, because you can be pretty certain that the enemy has not taken their anti-helicopter AA with them. You can get some free hits. Leopards are fast, their guns are good, they can fire on the move, as are the Abramses, of course, but the Leopards here are cheaper. And with enough numbers, you can look at the Leopard 2A3 and think that, well, this thing is almost completely outclassed, having only 20 penetration on max range with an enemy with 18 or 21 armor. But the suppression damage done by the gun is still there. So if the Leopard 2s mix in their shots with a couple of the heavier ones, what can happen is that the tanks get stunned. When the tanks get stunned, they're going to be or low cohesion, they're going to lose so much of their capacity that the enemy is always going to retreat with them. And if you can just keep your stuff repaired, if you can keep your leaders around to keep the cohesion up, the numbers of the Leopards really seem to be doing it there. So many Abramses have been lost in these attacks where the recon has either been on foot or in this moment there are like scouts all around the place, because I don't think there are the expensive recon Bradleys are in bottom feeder's deck.
Oh,
And I
the Lux is in
understand
the rear, getting some stingers there most likely. No, not aiming in time, just slightly out of position there. Might be able to side shot the Bradleys though, as they will take a bit longer to pass by. That would be a nice kill there as well, as there is a bit of a push towards the north coming out of bottom feeder now. The Lux gets a good salvo in, but gets routed in the counter-strike by the Bradley. Oh, unfortunate times there for Joker. But kills off some supply trucks in the south. Is stopping the M1A1 push still. It's now rotating north. He has his BO-105s there, but as the Stingers passed by, he will be able to get the kill there on onto the BO-105s most likely, or at least push them back. So, yeah, the Bradley not getting killed by a Lux there. A bit unfortunate for bottom feeder. For Joker, and lucky for bottom feeder. Well, it's the M1A1 and Leo Plops still standing in front of each other. And yeah, we'll see if the big move north, the big migration is going to happen. It seems like it. Jaguar 2 now around, so both the Jaguar 1 and 2 in the deck. M1A1 gets killed by a side shot by the Leo 2A3. The BO-105s go down, but still a good trade so far here by Joker. Getting a good side shot there. And Jaguars and Leos disengaging, setting up for the next one.
Yeah, the migration here still seems to be going further east, with the tanks wanting to fix the enemy strong point, fight against the enemy strong point. And that is smart, I think, because you're not going to be able to full-on use your Abramses in the middle without like fighting off this currently basically unoccupied citadel, and also getting fire supremacy against this Leopard line. What 3rd US wants to do here is wants to prepare its ATG and front lines by putting Bradleys and ITVs all around these little tree lines, all around behind corners, and make Joker actually attack that front line. And currently ITVs are in a very risky position here, but those things are 75 points, and the automatic targeting of the tanks is going to prioritize firing at the more expensive Abramses. So the ITVs for now are still alive, with the Abramses going down on low cohesion, lowering their accuracy by 75%, reload time by 40, movement speed, rotation speed, everything. So those things standing there, the Abramses really are just there to allow the ATGMs to move up. But looking at the numbers of Leopards, and remember, tanks repair faster when there are multiple supply vehicles repairing them. So these things are going to be out there in the fight. Oh no, there's only a Fernspeer, but if that Fernspeer can just fire all of its disposable launchers at the HA Abrams, that HA Abrams could also be significant, like the cohesion damage could actually make it very vulnerable.
HA here down to 2 hit points on the disengage, but Jaguar and Leos get caught out finally. The northern movement of bottom feeder is working out for now right now as well. Stop the tick finally, 16 minutes to go. He will need more than a +2 in the north by now to get this game. So he will need all 4 zones, 4 + 4. A +2 that he would get by the 2 zones in the north wouldn't be enough at this stage anymore. So Joker is really just needs to hold on, but is starting to take a couple of painful losses here, and runs into an ITV and Bradley firing from the south right now, trying to hunt down the HA Abrams. Has to be really careful there not to eat too many TOW2 missiles.
Yeah, the first pair stunned it down, and the rest of the tanks really moved in for the kill. Every HA Abrams, especially with these being veterans you won, you get a limited amount of these as bottom feeder, and of course all the rest of the tanks, the standard A1s, are also like very good top tier tanks, but they don't have the same capacity to act as a front line for the Bradleys as the heavily armored HAs are. Now, the Bradley defenses moving up north are going to be the long-term problem for Joker. Joker has not invested in that many troops for now in contesting the north. I think that's probably smart. I think even then, this even as I said earlier, that this game is going to be decided by trades. My opinion has not changed. 1,400 points is a nice surplus that you can sit behind. And if the enemy ever starts actually ticking up significantly, that means that the trades have already gone badly.
Yes, we still see Leo 2 A3s moving around. The Bradleys here from the south, coming along with a good amount of missiles, getting the lead. Leo killed off there with a double TOW 2 hit. The Hawk helicopters here moving forward, just firing the missiles to stun down the enemy here a bit. Bradley in the south, finally out of TOW 2s. The ITV is still able to fire, but gets stunned down. So in the end, still a decent trade here for Joker, even with the loss of the leader, as the real tanks here on the side of bottom feeder not able to take part in this action. Bottom feeder still trying to get a take going on. Finally sets up a +1 now, still has to kill off the Ultis leader in the north, but isn't in a position right now to push into the southern zone. And as I said, 1,400 points, that's already enough for the victory, even if it goes to a +2 right now. So you only have to hold on to the south here right now as Joker had at this stage, and that should be possible if you micro this big Leo 2 plop correctly.
Yeah, but now the problem is that driving west with the getting an instant kill with the Bradley, I mean, that's just showing off there, really. But this wide front line of the Abramses is actually like that is a hard target. That is the hardest target. There's a bunch of recon around the place. There are close range air defenses. There are even infantry with the dragons to prevent anybody from rushing in. The wider front line here can only be broken if it gets engaged parts at a time. Going out there and having every American unit open fire.
The Leo 2's pushing in there though. I'm not sure that's the right move. Losing 2 of them now. Third one stand down in the south. The M1's not going down. 2 ITVs so far down. That's annoying, but not the end of the world. Meanwhile, losing the Leos here is pretty brutal. Another one goes down. The rest is able to retreat, but the number is now a good bit lower than before. We have more reinforcements coming in, so for now they are replaceable. But this trade for sure in favor of bottom feeder if Joker can't follow this up. If Joker can follow it up and finish off the damage tanks and can maybe even get into Alpha, this might be the finishing blow. But the question is, can he actually follow it up now? The M1A1's all really low. Supply trucks only now arriving. They haven't been set up preemptively here by bottom feeder. Big mistake there. A lot of UH supply helicopters now being bought in as they need to get here ASAP. But for now, the trade's still in bottom feeder's favor. Oh! M109 goes down though. And the Leos are going for the blood. That's the right move now, I think, by Joker. Hunting down the damage tanks. Still has to be careful, still has to micro this correctly. A couple of good M1A1 rounds, and this still can go into shambles. Couple of side shots, but the hunt here is the right move now. Oh no! Bailed out on the Leo 2A4C. Oh, that one will most likely go down here. The other one's trying to push forward to save it. As we see another Leo 2A3 going down. M1A1 CP coming forward. Bradley from the south with autocannon getting involved as well. No TOW 2s on this one anymore. Finally, 2 M1A1s go down, but 2 Leos went down for this as well. Couple more red units as well. So far this is all okay for bottom feeder, but also okay for Joker, as Joker just needs to buy more time. Gets the Chaparral kill. Bradley under fire. M1A1's still not repaired there. Still on 1 hit point each, but another Leo 2A3 leader goes down.
Yeah, this is Joker. Bottom feeder here is holding on despite having a huge problem with the lack of supply, meaning that the Abramses are have been fighting for suboptimal positions. The wide front line still worked out quite well. There was a the amount of micro required to just keep every single one of those leopards up, especially when sometimes you roll badly and you get a bailout. This is now even Gepard getting taken out by a TOW 2 before counter battery can actually take it out.
Oh, F4F80 does miss. That would have been big. Side shot there was possible against the M1A1. It has the older, slow accuracy Mavericks, the Maverick Bs, not the D variant that the US troops are using. But okay, gets the M1901, that's nice. TOW 2 goes down. F4F goes down to the Eagle that finally comes around, showing up to work finally. Bit late, but at least gets the job done. Fetch Bears moving forward, likely gonna be eaten up here by the M1 and some Bradleys. Moved a bit too far. That means the recon loss now for bottom feeder, so I don't for Joker. So I don't think Joker wants to push with the Leos like he does right now. Joker just needs to hold out here for 9 minutes. This aggressive posturing is a mistake in my eyes. Leo 2A4C goes down. This is an overextension. Everything is moving in here for Joker, but he doesn't need to do this. He just needs to hold on to the self. I'm not sure why he is playing so aggressive. Maybe miscalculating the position he is in. Thinking that he actually has to stop the tick when he actually doesn't. And is now running in with a lot of force here.
I think might be seeing that the bottom feeder is moving out from the northern position here and is still thinking that, well, I need to get the kills. I need to go there and fight, attack this wounded underbelly where the supply is, and everything is trying to repair stuff. But now with this infantry getting in there, it's going to be so close. But I don't think Joker's infantry can actually do this, or the leader. There's too many leopards have been lost here.
Yeah.
Just one more, once again. These are only 1A2s, these are cheap modders, don't even have Milan missiles, but with the leopards going down, there could be an immediate counterswing here.
Yes, and that's the big issue, because a +4, that then is enough for bottom feeder to actually get the tick up here. And it is looking highly likely that this is what's going to happen here. Panzergrenadiers overextended, Fanspeer going down. And there is basically nothing left here. It's a Rommel-esque push here out of Joker. The LL main of Joker just pushing one bit too far here and just getting completely wiped out with the Leo forces reduced to 2 tanks. They still potentially can hold out here for a bit longer. If it's only 1 or 2 minutes, then this might at least still be a draw. But he still has to keep the CVs off his zone here for a bit longer. His units are really low now. It potentially still could be possible to at least hold on for 5 more minutes here.
Yeah, but Protoss, you're misunderstanding. There was a war and Joker won it. It was called the 31-minute conflict, and in the 31-minute conflict, Joker was the absolute winner. Now, as the unofficial ceasefire has been announced, any kind of attacks from bottom feeder are going to be unwarranted aggression, and we of course denounce them on this stream.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if the aggression here from Hawks and Co can get the job done. As the Abrams coming in force, Bradley coming around from the south. Will not hit the Unimog. M1A1HA slowly pushing forward. Jaguar rushing north towards the Bradleys. It's looking really tough here. Joker brings in a decent amount of reinforcements. If the Panzergrenadiers can get into positions in the forest, they can keep on holding it for a bit longer. Leo 2's routing the CV, that's important. The other CV pretty low as well. Really good shot there by Joker's forces. Catching off the M1A1 slightly off guard. Oh no! Leo 2A3 nearly going down. And
yep,
we have a GG here as bottom feeder taps out. Oh, no, wait. Joker
bottom feeder won.
Yeah,
Joker tapped out.
Tapping out. Yeah, as bottom feeder was catching up here. And Joker does give it to his opponent, realizing that they won't be able to keep it up for much longer. And bottom feeder gets the win here in game number 1.
Yeah, this kill counts here. Aggressive usage of artillery on both ends. Both players used aggressively artillery constantly, taking out especially weapons teams and supply. Very important in keeping the enemy tanks combat ineffective. Is trying to find out where the supply is, kind of approximate it even. And with the better map control, Joker did have the tools to win this. I believe there were moments when bottom feeders attacks were just seeming a little bit desperate, going against a numerically and like map control uh, superior foe. And but in the end, I don't know really what it was. Of course, maybe if we could see the numbers of tanks left in the division. In the decks here, but I think you're correct. I think Joker just did not realize that sitting back there and allowing the two-point tick go to keep going would have just resulted in a reliable victory. There was like having those Bradleys that did all those kills right at the end, having those actually attack a defensive position, even with the Bradley attack from north and northwest. I think Joker could have maybe microed, maybe just having a couple of recon units and well-controlled Leopard 2 could have probably like kept the incursions at bay, because there were no positions to be actually attacked by the northern push. There were only reinforcement routes that can be imposed fire control upon.
Yeah, really job well done by Joker in the first 25 minutes. Did get the control that you need to get against the 30S on the battlefield. Did get good trades there as well. Did get some nice flanking shots. And then just maybe misreading the position on the battlefield a bit. Like misreading that they actually didn't need to push. They just needed to hold on. And that bottom feeder wasn't that close to an overwhelming tank force that they needed to break. Like, it would have been really tough for bottom feeder to get through defensively deployed layout 2s there. So, in the end, a bit of an overextension in my eyes by Joker, but obviously way easier to say from our perspective, where we can make the calculation without the heat of battle. We can make the decisions based on perfect informations on both sides. We did know how many tanks bottom feeder had on the battlefield, how many forces were bound to the north, and so on. And that's all really helpful to analyze it. But because WARNO is a game of imperfect information on the battlefield itself, it's a lot harder to make the decisions down there in the ditches. And yeah, in the end, bottom feeder did win it here with 30S, and Joker will have to bring it back in the next one. So quick break, guys, and then we're gonna see if Joker can bring it back. So here we go, game number 2, and we are on the beautiful little map of Urban Frontlines as Joker Tart and bottom feeder go back into it again. And on the left side, we in blue, bottom feeder brings around one of his classic divisions, First Armored, a division that we have seen a lot of times in bottom feeders and cheesers hands who practice those divisions quite a lot. Whilst Joker brings around the other British base game division, second UK here, so British Civil War here on Urban Frontlines, and I'm all for it. This is a classic matchup on a really cool map, and I'm really looking forward to how this will go. Which side do you think has the advantage between these two divisions here?
Looking at the open, I mean, naturally, I would say this is Urban Frontlines. The other side has SAS and a bunch of motorized air mobiles. Of course, second UK is going to be the primary pick here. But we've seen a lot of like strategies on this map basically basically like center around building a force of anti-infantry vehicles, putting them right behind the Charlie position, and slowly building up this force and refusing to get bogged down into infantry fights without superior mech. It is not easy to attack with mech on this map, but it is way more difficult to attack towards mech with only infantry. We've seen even something like 35th US, we've seen the Polish of all sorts. We've seen Second Panzergrenadier with Marder spam. This is a pretty powerful tactic, especially if you are on the blue side, where you have in my opinion, a little bit more space to move around behind the Charlie position. You don't you don't have to move through this very tight street that is in north of Foxtrot and southeast of Charlie. And I think it's completely possible that without like the sufficient aggression and sufficient like map wide pushing and point taking from second UK, they could be bogged down into constantly challenging this mechanized force and not ticking away fast enough to prevent it from building into a late game stand. Now SAS patrol are getting deployed extremely conservatively, like nowhere near close as where they could even reach. But on the other hand, the SAS on Joker's side are taking aggressive positions. There's a Harrier rocket here working in tandem with the Gazelles, going to try to take out any early recon. Recon on this map is and map knowledge is even more important than on other maps because so many little corners and pathways that you can go, and you don't want to waste your points into fortifying everything with infantry. So just getting out, taking in an extra scout's law out of here, it's going to take time, it's going to be a blind spot, it's going to allow for the SAS to be a little bit more aggro. No scouts taken out yet, and Tracker appears, getting nice free shots into the Harrier rocket.
A lot of rockets going out there, and yeah, Harrier goes down. Will crash into the ground, onto the trade tracks. SAS Patrol have a good eye on what's happening there in the center as well. Whereas Scimitar and Scout, Swift Law 80, start to set up nicely in the south as well. The Fox should lose against the Scimitar in a frontal engagement. Both have the same rod and gun, but one has 3 frontal armor, one only has 1 frontal armor. Obviously, with the roll of a die and some critical hits, the Fox still could potentially win. But it's also 8 hit points versus 10 hit points, so Fox in general in a heavy disadvantage there. So it shouldn't be able to push through there, as both should spot each other as well. Warrior Obliques and the Centurions. I really like the Centurions here. Those, especially against the SAS, immediately stunning them away. But even can be helpful against something like a Warrior and stunning those down. So this is going to be interesting with the push forward. Warrior Obliques coming around. Doesn't play a big role here, the Oblique versus the non-Oblique. It's only making a difference in accuracy of the Milan, but both can one-shot kill each other.
Down south,
oh no, it actually doesn't, because it has 4 frontal armor, right. So yeah, the Warrior matchup is heavily in favor of the Oblique here, as it has an extra frontal armor. But yeah, the big push here of Joker coming into the south. Scimitar now outnumbered by a lot of Warriors. Tornado HE for the middle, that's an interesting run there. Past SAS, into the Milan 2. Let's see if the Tornado survives this. If it does, no it doesn't. It would be okay. As it doesn't, it's a terrible, terrible mistake. Yeah, buying planes, attack planes into second UK, always risky, usually not worth it. And really one of the biggest strengths of the division, that it is so immune to bombing attacks like this early on, and that you have to beat it with conventional crowd forces.
Yeah, the positioning of bottom feeder is really nice here. Joker did not do the standard positioning in the buildings where you expect an infantry fight, but actually wanted to get in here and try to get on the other side of the rail tracks, barely getting in there. But right now, getting locked into a really bad long-range engagements where the infantry is kind of sitting ducks in the middle here, not able to advance unless something is done by this blob. But a Challenger Mark II and Hell Arm getting here to provide some firepower, and these towers will be there are a lot of towers here, and so every one of those can theoretically hold a weapons team. So it's not like the bottom feeder wants to just A-click and move forwards here. A lot of stuff can happen. There is only a single Challenger. The ABREs are not good. They're 80 points only, and they're very slow, and they can be damaged by the Warrior Milans. And but meanwhile, the important attack down south is going swimmingly. Up north, forward deployment advantage gained the India point securely for Joker, and down south now this mechanized SAS advance getting reinforced by a bunch of air mobiles in Lynx rockets. This is so WARNO 101. You fighting against an armored division, you want to stretch the blob. Don't fight the blob on the blob's terms, but go into the places where the blob is not. This will draw resources away from the blob, will draw attention away from the blob, and if this SAS and warrior attack can actually start happening here, it's completely possible that the reinforcements could actually physically lock down and get behind the first UK blob. This is exactly what Joker wants to be doing here, and so far, as we can see, I mean, bottom feeders kind of just standing still here. They're waiting for a rifles leader to arrive, but so far, as long as bottom feeders tanks are not shooting at anything right now, that's good for Joker.
Yeah, the assault pioneers and infantry are decently successful there though, pushing out the SAS. If they could kill it, that would be big. Warriors now getting the Fox in the south, starting a bit of a counter push there. If they could push through the forces, that would be nice, but air mobiles here coming in with Lynx rockets, that's a good force. No AA around here right now, so the Lynx with the rockets can fire away freely, kill off a good amount of infantry, whilst the SAS get another helicopter there. And here, bottom feeder stuck a bit in the middle, and the southern counter push of his likely will struggle to work as well. Armored rifles versus armored rifles, SAS being involved as well. Rover CP actually being able to get in there, getting a +4, and that's a good timer already. 10-minute timer now, and it likely is going to get it to a +5, which will put that timer even higher. Good, quick second UK play here so far from our player in red. Joker doing a really good job so far.
Yeah, this Joker's unit compositions are really nice here with the SAS. Having to rely on the SAS for anti-air is kind of a curse, a little bit of a curse, even though it's mostly a blessing. Because even though the elite spec ops stingers are really accurate, you only get 4 shots with them, and it can be pretty difficult to resupply your frontline special forces. And now we can see that as the SAS rockets have run out, the Jaguars and the planes are going to be having a fun time here. The Joker would probably want to provide air defense with fighters here, but that's just one extra thing to micro and one extra thing that can be tagged away by the enemy's fighters. First UK also gets very good fighters, so that's really kind of dice rolling at that point.
Yeah, we finally see a big move here from bottom feeder in the center. He did push both challengers back with a lot of damage on the other team, and the warrior Pleeks here now getting the push through. If he could overcome the Milan 2 quickly enough here, is pushing a lot of damage into it, and it does miss its shot, so the Milan 2 kill could be possible. Doesn't have a line of sight on it anymore. Only now starts to spot it again. Oh, actually, no, still not spotting the Milan 2, spotting other things here as his recon moved around. But the push in the center is going well. His fight in the south is going okay. He just needs to get the zone back, though, as getting the +5 here would be pretty brutal. It's now reduced to a +3 with the capture of the center. That's a 10-minute timer. That is decently manageable. That gives you a good amount of time to play and get more forces to the front line again. Reducing it further to a +1 would give you a lot of time here to turn it around. So capturing Bravo is an important part here of the play now for bottom feeder, and then setting up the big mechanized blob that can just A-click over the map.
Yeah, I love the challenger getting in here to the southern front. Like, this is the ideal of second UK gameplay, is not transitioning into tank warfare at the mid game, which is what they used to be able to do with their extra card of challengers. But now second UK is supposed to be, in my opinion, played as an infantry aggro division with a local tank support. So now that infantry aggro has managed to get into the backline here, and the enemy is doing the proper hard counter of getting helicopters and IFVs. But what counters IFVs? Well, challengers. So amongst your small amounts of infantry that push far in, you also just have like a main battle tank. It's not the best main battle tank, but it is better than all of the uplings.
Yeah, the warriors here, they are pretty helpful against the Challenger on long range, but if the Challenger is in gun range, they will struggle to actually find the kill there. Still no CV there for Bravo on the way, more Warrior Pleaks instead. I'm a bit surprised that we don't see bottom feeder bringing a bigger Challenger with the Challenger Mark III or some, like 2 Chieftains or so to deal with the situation. And instead it's just relying on pure Warrior power. Finally brings it in a Challenger with 2 vet versus the 1 vet Challenger on the other side. This is still played on the old patch, so there are still 2 cards of Challengers, but yeah, for now, the situation here is getting better for bottom feeder, but still is in favor of Joker as the +3 is ticking on, and they are above 1000 points now, and they hold on nicely for now on the defense in the south. Have the Gazelle rockets around. Question is, can they keep up the pressure in the south now that more and more warriors come in? They need to for sure get a couple of good trades still to really be secured in their position here.
Yeah, the blob stretching has worked, but unfortunately, especially losing the not having enough air defense in the southern attack has allowed the Jaguar rockets and the Jaguar HE to just get do a lot of free damage out here. Now, Rapier FSP1 is a pretty decent anti-air weapon, and it can and does get the hits in here. It aims faster than all the other UK anti-air weapons because it does have a radar. It doesn't have to wait for the infrared tracking, and but so far, really, the force of bottom feeder has, even with the Challenger being on close ranges here, this Challenger is on low cohesion, and its firepower is just not enough to stop this on its own. Joker really needs to do something here, and that doing something looks like buying air mobiles and rockets, which is all nice and good, but Javelin LMLs and track rapiers are very good anti-helicopter AA. They fire repeated shots after they get the sighting, so even if they miss the first one, they can probably get at least damage done, if not a kill.
Yeah, the setup for push is coming in the middle though. Takes out the Milan 2 there. Warrior Pleak goes down in the south. The counter push off bottom feeder there is going okay though. But we have now more warriors and challengers for Joker in the middle than we have for bottom feeder. And with the fall of the Milan 2, he loses his defensive strong position there. He still has another Milan 2 team, but it is a bit too far in the rear. Hasn't rotated around yet further to the front. Challenger Mark II also coming in for the south. So no reinforcements here for bottom feeder in the middle, but Joker slowly but surely did build up a bigger force there. Has Gazelle rockets that can soften up the forces of the enemy as well. And now the 2 challengers, the warriors, and a bit of infantry all pushes forward. And that could topple the center here again, where we only have an AVRE and 1 Challenger Mark II that gets hit by rockets, gets stressed out. So yes, it's going pretty well now for bottom feeder in the south, but he hasn't recaptured the zone yet, and he might be going down in the center again. Armored rifles die everywhere. This is really bad as well. In the center, in the north, in the south, everywhere armored rifles of bottom feeder that do get shredded by warriors and challengers, and he isn't doing any damage back right now.
Yeah, the late game blob stretching, where bottom feeder has slowly moved all of their expensive units into fighting this battle that they figured out was their main counterattack. But second UK having the initiative, having the fast transported units with the helicopters and all of this capacity to move around the place, and also significantly better recon, even though they don't have the SAS patrols. There are a bunch of gazelles all around the place. Now, this has meant that the front line's weakest position was, ironically, the middle. The middle that is the most important strategically positioned here. Did not have investment of the armored rifles, did not have enough. The AA was not in position to prevent those gazelles on not eliminating the existing infantry there.
Cluster getting the kill against the Chelly. Nothing is in the center now. The center is completely falling apart with the Challenger going down, and there we go. GG is called. The cluster bombers sealing the deal here. The kill KD there before that kill wasn't even that far apart, but Joker did do the stretching well and had the cheaper forces to bring around, and yeah, gets the W there over bottom feeder in game number 2. tying the score and making it a tie on the leaderboard with this as well. So GGVP here for Joker, bringing it around in game number 2. Really solid opener, good movement there in the south, swinging the balance around to the center in time, killing off the enemy counter units time and again with well executed pushes. Bottom feeder didn't play badly here, but maybe just having a slight misposition of his forces there, like especially the warrior pleats not always quite in the right spot, and that did cost him here pretty dearly.
Yeah, I was so Joker now a winner of both the 31-minute war in the first game and the second game here. Repeated victories. I will go and write in the Wikipedia about this. But yeah, the second UK was always going to have the advantage on this map as long as it was played with enough aggression. The fact that the main infantry reinforcement that first UK is buying is coming with the upleaks. The upleak is a very good unit, but it is slower than a 100 kph Saxon or a max speed Lynx helicopter transport, and you're also paying extra. You have to have the upleaks alongside your warrior rifles unless you're specifically getting your armored rifles in trucks, which nobody really does because you have limited infantry slots as a tank division player. And this kind of meant that there was always this sluggishness and always this need to congregate and to organize. And second UK with its few key units, it's Gazelle Recons, it's Hell Arms, it's SAS. They can just project a lot of power and then keep on exploiting that with their fast reinforcements. Now that the second UK has been nerfed and it has lost its challengers, I really hope people will kind of rediscover the joy of doing like really fast and continuous infantry attacks, because that was what I always loved about second UK, being able to do every single kind of infantry offensive, whether it be forward deployment, whether it be massed fast transports. The Saxons are 90 kph off-road. You can drive those things through forests pretty well, not to mention, of course, the extremely powerful Lynxes.
Yeah, and job well done here brings us to another series where we're gonna see the lovely Tmanplays versus Bendover. So quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with some more hot WARNO action coming right your way. So here we go, everybody. The series number 2 of the day is coming from the American group, as we got our lovely little map of Kreider here, with on the left side Bendover, bringing around as always in American division with the 8th US, whilst Tmanplays is following in Joker's footsteps here with another second UK game, and SAS here moving forward into good positions. And this is for sure going to be the advantage of second UK in this game. They have the better openers, they have the better forward deploy, whilst 8 US has a bit more punching power afterwards, but their openers usually not that strong. So it's going to be interesting to see how Bendover gets through the opening stages here and what they can do there, and if Tmanplays for once can finish a game with an opener. Usually not his style though.
I mean, T-Man has managed some pretty incredible feats, but that's not something I've ever seen him do, especially not against high-level opponents. And Bendover here, maybe just relying on the curse. Those who don't know, T-Man once met an old woman in the forest and slighted her, leading to him being incapable of ever succeeding with openers. And SAS here, we're seeing the deployments. T-Man doesn't seem to be going into the most predictable location with forward deployment infantry, which would be Bravo. Bravo is the place that's the most difficult to get into after the opener, whereas Golf up north, where T-Man is investing 2 whole SASs, that's going to be the easiest place to get in the late game. A really spread out attack, and maybe they're hoping to have the enemy invest some of their own limited opener resources into Bravo, and they're just completely bypassing that. We've seen a bunch of people do that, and it seems to be a pretty good, reliable strategy. But my problem here really is that the SAS are very vulnerable outside of close ranges against vehicles. There are recon Bradleys coming up, as well as recon M150s, which can, for very cheap prices, use their heavy machine gun to safely engage the SAS. And SAS being 100-point units, you never want to use them in anything that is not optimal. Bendover even investing into a Ranger's Dragon, putting it into a nice, interesting location, probably thinking that these Spec Ops Rangers can, with their superior they have superior numbers with one guy, so they can maybe take out the SAS. But so far, none of the typical aggro tactics are getting seen here. There is no Hell's Highway going to Foxtrot to Delta. There's no landing into Bravo. T-Man's just going and attacking the 3 top zones without any significant investments in mech. Okay, and Lynx rocket going into Bravo. That's very interesting. The Lynx rocket could maybe catch a recon squad there with its rockets, but outside of that, I think it's maybe a little bit of a Hail Mary instead of. Oh wait, no. Now 2 SAS are rerouted into Bravo, so T-Man is going all the way in. Every SAS is getting played here. All 600 points plus 2 times 720 points. Almost half of the entire income is in SAS. If the SAS get hard countered, if they are victims of snipers or even the M1 Abrams that is getting bought here for the middle, this opener could really fail for T-Man.
Yeah, but there are no big amounts of the classic counters to the SAS, which are IFVs or like cheap tanks that can just shoot them away quickly in 8VS. So that one can't happen to them, and that's already a good thing for T-Man, that the real hard counters to his SAS are not really even possible. There are some recon Bradleys, sure, but those are not something that you want to risk anywhere close in SAS usually, as if the 84 hits, that would be the end of the recon Bradley as well, so gotta be careful of those. And yeah, SAS coming forward, moving in, air mobiles flying over all of this with the Lynx rocket. And there are no stingers for the south, they all come in for the center, and that means that even the ITO teams here could be in a bit of trouble, as the Lynx rocket is setting up there. And we're at 50 going through the south. Big push here from Bendover into the middle, trying to push back the SAS, trying to deal some good damage there. As the SAS get pushed a bit. Rangers, Dragons have to be careful how they move though. They likely gonna run into SAS range otherwise. Okay. Kill against the Saxons, units moving forward. Lynx rocket getting hunted, but SAS all around with the Stingers get the kill against the F-16. Absolutely not worthwhile, never buy fighters. We saw it now the second game in a row. Don't build early planes until you haven't killed at least 1 or 2 of the SAS, as otherwise there's just too many Stingers with high accuracy flying in your direction.
Yeah, Tmanplays building up a concave using Milan 2s and SAS and Warrior Milans to engage the middle here, but Bendover so far has managed to do this very well. Rangers Dragon fighting the SAS on close range with fire support, they can win this. The M1 doing the actual damage dealing here on long ranges, forcing the Warrior Milans to smoke off. And the Bradley CFVs, CFVs, yes, are kind of acting as both expensive recon and as combat units. They can both position themselves to hold a long range, and they can also move in and auto-cannon away the SAS, as we just saw there. Now, Bendover Sniper down south does hold some level of understanding of what's going on there, so a recon vehicle and a combat engineering vehicle are going into Bravo, and guided by the sniper, they might actually win this. But on the other hand, the air mobile that is stuck so deep into the forest can move out and use its low AT rocket launcher to like immediately destroy basically everything as long as T-Man knows that it's out there. T-Man has some Saladin recon vehicles, reservist recon vehicles actually, holding up some map control on this other side of the map, and is slowly kind of walking around the northern parts, having not faced any resistance. The maybe a little bit redundant and expensive SAS troops are moving in to capture these empty forests. So far, T-Man is still in a good position, but if Bendover gets time and starts scaling here, starts getting the CEVs and CFVs and the Abramses out, this can probably, like, the second UK can deal with a lot, but it can't deal with a full-on mechanized 8 infantry late game, I don't think.
Yeah, Milan 2 there, nearly getting a side shot against the Abrams. Luckily for Bendover, didn't quite get the hit. Rangers coming out for the center as well. Snipers stopping the airmobile nicely in the north, as we have the capture now of the southern zone here. Will get to take up for T-Man with a slow +1. Chaparral, CVs and co all slowly moving forward. Ranger Dragon being stuck in the middle. Snipers finish off the airmobiles, so finally some decent kills, but the fight around the south here is going to be interesting. SAS getting to push further south. Snipers opening up fire now. Might be able to stop them together with the M150s.
Oh no, the
Airmobile
airmobiles are going up.
running into the Rangers, getting stunned on by the Cav. T-Man there with a couple of miss moves there, being caught out in the open, and Bendover getting a bit of value there. Loses the Ranger Dragons in the north, but the southern engagement so far going okay for our player in blue.
Yeah, T-Man's moving up north as well, giving a Stinger a free hit, losing a helicopter actually, and getting into a pretty bad position with these Saladins. These are still cheap units, it's nothing that crucial, and T-Man does get the info out of this. But as the counterattack of Bendover is starting to form up on the southern parts, T-Man's resources should probably be spent into reinforcing the southern front line instead of going deeper and pushing up north, even though the north push seems to be the soft target right now. With the Challenger and some extra infantry out there, I think Delta could easily be T-Man's if he acts right now. And that's also, of course, because we can see where Bendover is positioning all the units. And T-Man, very importantly, does not have good recon information about what's happening down south.
Yes, down to 2 SAS by now. Everything else got picked off. At least the SAS can hold the forest quite nicely. So there's still a threat there to Bendover's units. The Cavs and so on can't just easily roll in there. CV for the middle now, coming around. One for the south as well. Point situation pretty equal here right now. Both sides really close on top of each other. Meanwhile, airmobiles coming in the north again with rocket. There is a Stinger team. The Saxons go down as well, but situation in the north here not optimal by any means here for Bendover. So they will need to invest more there now, whilst likely we're gonna see a bit more southern investment here from T-Man, as the front line outside of that seems to be rather frozen right now.
Yeah, Rangers engaging the SAS here, and which is a good engagement for the Rangers, even though they lack the veterancy advantage completely. Now the Abramses can get in there, and they get front shotted quickly by the AT4s. And but after the 4 AT4s have been fired, they're going to be incapable. There is supply for the SAS men, but as long as they are under engagement, they can't supply. They need to go out of fire. Taking out a CEV, so not going down without a fight. But now with 184 left, this is the time to A-click for Bendover. And after this A-click, there's going to be a wide front line protecting the back point of Echo. That's going to be literally just 1 Scouts and 1 Challenger. Now, fortunately, this is a British Scout unit, which means that it does get 80 weapons, but that's really it's a little bit of a That's not much, you know. SAS actually managing to run with the Saxons.
Yeah, one of them went down, one was able to disengage. We have the south captured fully now, but at the same time, the north is under attack here by Timon. Timon gets into the zone, gets a +2 up there. A10, AT coming around for Bendover. Doesn't find a shot yet. Turned back away, whilst Ihawks and Chaparrals in the south sitting there. The position here being rather static now for the southern part, whilst the north seems to become the new hot area with M1 Abrams pushing in against Challenger Mark II.
Yeah, Challenger getting a really nice hit on the Abrams, but Challengers already are slower than the Abramses, and them taking cohesion damage can make them make them just be basically incapable of challenging. Challengers always want to be fighting on the defensive. They're not fast enough to do peek outs. So any kind of hurt into their cohesion makes them even more sluggish. And with only 50 kph, that's already a very slow tank. It's vulnerable to stuff like AT missiles and planes. Speaking of planes, A10 dodging casually SAS and Tractor Pier, revealing to Bendover pretty well where the enemy is and what the air defense frontline is currently. Maybe does invest more into bombers. Yes, an F-16 actually going out there and supported with an Ihawk manages to drive off the Phantom.
Gets the kill. SAS, can they retaliate? Ooh, flying over SAS and Tractor Pier in the south again. They only get one hit though, so it seems like the F-16 will be able to evacuate here. A10 in the north gets pushed out as well though. So Timon for now still on the +1, not that far ahead on points yet though, and likely to be pushed out there in the northern zone relatively soon as well if everything stays as it is right now, which would be a nice successful Bendover, who then can start to get into the later M1A1 M1 play where his force should be outclassing the enemies with only Challenger Mark IIs there.
Yeah, this Hell Arms and rockets moving in north, but Chaparral has 12, has a salvo of 4 and 12 ammunition and a very good anti-helicopter range. There's no reason really to keep flying those Hell Arms that close. There are enough Chaparrals to basically hold the whole entire front line against helicopters. I think you only need like 3 or 4 of them. There's also a super heavy M110 targeting up the Hell's Highway area right at the corner with the armored rifles. Now, Tmanplays attack in the highway seems to be I mean, there's damage getting done. Good hit against an Abrams, maybe delaying an enemy counterattack, but I don't see T-Man holding that corner anymore. There's only a very slight advantage in points for T-Man, which means that more aggression is necessary here. But reinforcements seem to be going towards Bravo, and this is what I was talking about in the opener. You get Bravo in the opener, or you don't. It is so easy to defend against the long-range attacks here. And now we're seeing the Saxons and the motorized air mobiles are going out there. Saxons do have smoke, so they can actually delay destruction a little bit. But with only one Challenger providing fire support and 3 infantry squads going against a wave of Rangers, this is going to be a pretty bad fight to be on the offensive of.
Yeah, and one SAS, a couple of motorized ammo builds. The M1 actually gets hit pretty hard there. Gets blown up. That's a nice victory. Challenger there now in a way better spot. The lack of AT now against the Challenger could be a massive issue. Aito gets killed off as well. Is this actually working for Timon? Did he actually set it up perfectly? It looked like a non-starter, but it actually might get the job done. Aito doesn't deal all that much damage to Mark II frontally with its 18 frontal armor. And the SAS and mod ammo builds now pushing in. And Bendover's units are still in a decent state, but not perfect here. Rangers need to take these engagements against the infantry carefully now. Otherwise, they will be in a really tough spot. Tractor Pier gets the tow Cobra down immediately. And Bendover has to get better forces down there.
Yeah, the CEV is can one-shot stun infantry squads and take out like half of their forces. So the tank needs to be engaging, and the CEV is just too well controlled, keeping it right inside the forest. That engagement. Oh no, with the A10 coming in here.
Challenger Mark II leader under fire. Challenger Mark II normal going down. Normal one bites the dust, and the Ranger is still holding out nicely here. So it seems like Bendover is really stabilizing now. Still could use a bit more of a setup around the town, but in general, Bendover really on a good path here right now.
Yeah, T-Man is here like buying zero vet armored rifles in Warrior Milans and artillery. This is the artillery is good, of course, and maybe having the artillery a few minutes ago would have maybe it removed an important ranger squad there in the front line or something. But yeah, with these are defensive buys: track rapiers, hell arms, rockets, Warrior Milans, defending 200-point advantage against a very heavy and expensive infantry division for 26 minutes is a very difficult task, but it is a late game decision making and control task, and T-Man is really good at those.
Yeah, we see more Cobras coming in. We see more ones moving towards the south now. A 10 once more coming around. And we have a GG called. As Tmanplays taps out, Bendover gets the victory here. 8 US does get a success here with a 2-1 KD. And Bendover does beat the old guy, which was something that Vo wasn't able to do. But Ben gets a map win here.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of spotted the problems there right in the opener. Buying 6 SAS and only like 3 of those SAS actually were in positions to fight. The point should have been spent more aggressively into getting Rover Milans early on. Those things could have easily been a effective, cost-effective counter to the early mech of M1 and Bradley's. The uh, the attack up north should have instead been like a recon helicopter or recon squad that you could spend. You can send a helicopter, send a motorized air mobile out there like 2 minutes in, because no way is 8th Infantry going to early on buy an infantry attack in the close range fighting sector. That is just like begging to donate kills to the SAS and to the better and cheaper and faster infantry tab of the second. So T-Man's early decision making could have and should have been a little bit more concentrated. Like T-Man obviously wanted in the Southern Bravo attack, wanted to keep on exploiting, sent the air mobiles, trying to get into the back lines, all of that jazz, and just a few extra units, and maybe that could have managed. But nevertheless, your aggression should be centered. It shouldn't be spread out unless you're playing with tools that specifically can do spread out aggression.
Yeah, really job well done. Hereby Bendover surviving the early game stage where you are so vulnerable as 8 US in this matchup, and playing out of that nicely. Being a bit held out by the slower map of Pride as well, but not an easy one. So gonna be interesting to see how that goes on map number 2, where both of these will face each other again. So quick break, guys, and then we're gonna be back with Bendover versus Tmanplays game number 2, and let's see who gets closer to those playoff stages. So here we go, game number 2, Tmanplays versus Bendover. And we have Bendover on the left side once more with a US division. As per usual, third US this time, whilst T-Man is bringing a division that we haven't seen in competitive play in a while. 76 VDV coming up here. This is going to be an interesting one. Before we jump in though, real quick shout out to the Matcherino page, where you can help out this tournament's prize pool. And you don't even have to pay anything to increase the prize pool. You only have to click the claim code button, and you add 25 cents to the prize pool completely for free. Sign up with any of these numerous options, and yeah, then add 25 cents to the prize pool. Thanks to all of you who already did so. You can also contribute money directly, and click on the contribute button and contribute any amount. Any amount is welcome and helps us getting the funding of the tournament up. And yeah, with that said, thanks for all of you for helping out raising this prize money and getting us a real prize pool here for these players to fight over in a competitive environment. And let's get into the action here with Division 1 action again, as we have a good setup here already coming in. And how do you see this matchup here?
I mean, T-Man was always a fan of 76th VDV. It is currently, I believe, the least played VDV division because the other ones are so extremely powerful, and because of the overpowered garbage of the LGB bomber got patched away for 76th. And I don't think people really don't really get it, as it is not as efficient as its cousins. Uh, People kind of only understand it as the Su-24 high altitude bomber and MiG-31 massing division, as well as the BMD, and specifically the BMD 2 and 3 massing division. It is very mechanized. It has forward deploying mech in the way that you don't have with other divisions, and it has a large amounts of the good descent Niki units. You have the forward deploying AA trucks. You have the forward deploying uh, AA vehicles transporting your anti-air troops with the Chenichik E-Class. You also have, instead of Spetsnaz, you have Spetsgruppe V, which are 90 points, very, very powerful close-range fighting units. And two of them are getting bought into Oscar, which I think is once again a little bit of an overextension or overinvestment. Absolutely no universe where third US is going to open the game by contesting Oscar with what, like a wave of engineer units or something. No, the third US is going to fight on the top of the map around Lima and Zulu, and T-Man once again not doing the perfect opener by with that little bit of an overinvestment. Up north you have only two Desert Concourses, but also three BMD2s. The BMD2s are powerful, but they don't have good armor, and they only have three Conquerors missiles. So in any actual extended engagement with Bradleys or any vehicles, really, they need to escape. So the defense has to be as close range as possible. And we already know Bendover, and we already know Third US. And the Third US here is kind of putting all the eggs into one basket and trying to beat the T-Man to death with that basket. And if the eggs break, then the eggs breaking will mean that T-Man's natural advantage controlling the southern town will allow him to tick, I think.
Yeah, BMD2s also not having smoke means that they are a bit risky when you have to push with them and have to maneuver them around. But on the defense, with the Conquerors, they are really good IVs, good 30mm autocannon. We have a good couple of light vehicles already taken off here by the absolute ATGM spam that any VDP division can bring out onto the battlefield. BMD2s now already start to suffer though. First one down, second one taken out by the M1A1. And Bendover taking out two important units there. Conquerors in the north can engage the M3A1 Bradley there in a second, so that one has to be careful. But the units of T-Men in the center there, the Dejanikis, are all pretty far out in the open. Bendover now slowly pushing forward, has given up the southern zone. That's well played there, understanding the matchup, knowing that you really can't contest the VDV there, and instead trying to push for the northern town now, but has to find a way of getting around the town without getting bombed into smithereens. And this is one of the few matchups where an F-15 might not be the ultimate fighter, because the other side has the really strong MiG-31 next to the LGB bomber, so chaparrals are necessary here, and they don't quite have the range to really protect you against the LGB. They only can counter-strike usually.
Yeah, the bend over here, I think, is in a pretty decent position even then. Getting the only thing Ben really can achieve here before the reinforcements arrive is driving these Desantniki and the Rasvedka away from these few buildings. Having these few buildings and having your recon and infantry hold that spot, and then also having your recon and infantry hold the the beach area forest up north. Those are the positions that allow you to gain information from what's happening behind the town. They're very crucial if you want to do like methodical mech attacks. Now 3 engineers are getting bought here. Vet 1 engineers, love to see that, not always just Vet 0. And the mortars, the heavy mortars up here will most likely be providing some smoke coverage for whatever the attack is going to be. Suddenly, T-Man completely on the back foot, despite being on 2-vet. There's not a lot T-Man can do. This map doesn't allow you to do anything really, which is why we don't like it. And every investment down south kind of just seems like it was a mistake, knowing that this is the most predictable attack that Third US can do here. There's basically none other that they can realistically do.
Yeah, I'm also still a bit disappointed that we failed. You guys still did vote back this map into the map pool, so we will have it in the future again. We got rid of other not so great maps for the next map pool, like Death Row and so on. So it is a better map pool that we're gonna have, especially with Omen coming around, which is just a fantastic map. But yeah, Two Lakes will be there for the next season, guys. So all of you Two Lakes fans, especially in the competitive scene, who seem to love this really boring map, you can be happy. It's still there.
Omen, sponsored by HP.
M1A1's here, moving around. Mortars coming around with a lot of smoke will stop the Conquerors from getting easy shots out, but also means that you then have to kind of get it to the infight S30S with your smaller infantry teams versus Spätzgruppe V, so I'm not sure if this is really what you want here as Bendover. Good kills against the BMT2s in the north, gets better and better traits so far, gets the Spätzgruppe V routed with the Cav, but has to now get through the town somehow, and that is going to be the interesting part. Can that be achieved, or will the engineers just be stopped? One gets killed in transport. Bradley goes down to a Conqueror's shot as well. That's all unfortunate already, and that's always the issue with 30S. Like, you can get a lot of small kills, and then you lose one unit like a Bradley, and you're set back to 0 again, because your units are so much more expensive than the enemies. So even though you picked up a BMD2 and so on, in the end, it's still even trades as soon as you lose a single of your key units.
Yeah, the Rasvedka BMD3, which is kind of the unique unit of 76th. These have the Conqueror's M missiles, which are the heaviest pack missiles at 23 penetration. But this is a vehicle with 130 cost, and you can't attack with it, and it's currently being completely pushed out of the fight by the smoke barrage and preempting the standard lines of sight and angles by the smoke, working very well here. And engineers are good enough that they can 1v1 basically everything except the Spätzgruppe V here. And with the CEVs and Abramses and all the 50 cals around, you can use those to suppress the Spätzgruppe V and do some free damage to them. Just, you know...
MiG-31 not getting the F-15 out of the sky. A big airfight there coming along. MiG-31 now returning back home. Big smoke plays coming around. And yeah, the engineers in the town now running into ZSUs, running into the Spätzgruppers, don't have their fire support anymore. So the situation here not evolving further for Bendover. He got into the outlines of the town, but he's not really getting through it right now. That's the issue that I saw coming as well. So you kind of have to go around the flanks in my eyes, cut off the resupplies, and then either just like constantly fire and attrition away the units or kill them off with artillery or something. But with how the situation goes right now, it doesn't evolve well here right now for our player in blue. As they lose the CV, they need to use their tanks in better tank territory.
Yeah, the elite nonas here are really nice for T-Man. These vetted up absolute beasts of self-propelled heavy mortars. And but the issue here is that none of them actually strike at the core of the issue, and the core of the issue is the M1 Abramses and Sevs. The BMDs here bravely opening fire on the side with the AA guns, but as soon as the Abrams moves, and it is moving right now, actually is striking at a different target though, the BMDs need to be counter-microed away. And as you said, the BMD does not have smoke, so it's if it ever gets caught out of position, that's what is it, like 55 points gone.
Yeah, M1A1's here engaging towards the Dejaniki into the north, getting a decent amount of damage there. The BMD2 still moving around. Conqueror's team getting some shots out there in the enemy direction as well, but the infantry fight's still going okay for Tman, especially with the artillery being called in from his units. SU-24 AT comes in, doesn't get the hit against the M1A1. Might be able to get another shot off. No, gets called back. M1A1 though is getting stunned down, is eating a lot of Nona rounds. As one more comes in and it gets the kill there. A direct hit, taking out the M1A1. Big mistake there by Bendover to not micro that at least a bit out of the position, and costs him dearly. The smoke play, I'm still not sure if it's positive or negative in the long term for Bendover. Yes, sure, you don't get hit by the ATGMs, but you also can't get fire support with all your tanks, and you don't really see what's developing behind it, so 30US seems a bit stuck here for now.
Yeah, Tman has managed to lurk in a 3-man Descent BMD up north here, getting a hit on the CEV, getting a second hit and missing. No, the CEV gets to fire back. Oh, that's tragic. That's tragic. Not managing to get the that was very daring from Tman, and exactly what you're supposed to do when you're playing infantry. You want to take every single possible angle of ambush, and that angle was so great. Unfortunately, missing the second round with the RPG, and once again the Abrams movement here made possible by the smoke here. I am also thinking about whether the smokes are necessarily the best idea here, but the way that you would expect the 76 to be would be to keep buying these BMD3s, because in mass they can't be single sniped out by an Abrams, and so preventing the numbers here and kind of presuming that T-Man might be doing something like that. Also, the Descent Luas Fagot, the very cheap for 4-missile Fagot car, also like a very decent unit out here, and just a little bit extra out there to provide suppression and damage against vehicles.
Yeah, the Spätgruppe V now pushing through the engineers again. That's the really big issue here. That's why I said you kind of need to flank around the south or the north with an armored division, cut the reinforcements, because if you take the infantry fights head on with your engineered dragons and your military police, the Spätgruppes just will wipe the floor with them, as they have the higher veterancy here. They have the special forces trait that gives them better killing power, and they also have TNT, so they can blow up infantry with that as well. The Nonas helping out big time here as well, and Bendover seems to be pretty struck in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Bendover's mech advantage was kind of just did not work in pushing to the end of the town. We're seeing T-Man do the defense properly, which is sitting their infantry on the right side of the town, not giving the enemy targets of opportunity. And meanwhile, every time the enemy actually pushes there, the Spätgruppe B, being special forces and having these really good close quarters weapons, as well as the RPG-27s, which at short ranges can even penetrate the Abramses. And having those Spätgruppe go out there, do the damage, and run back to revive and refuel is what you're supposed to do. The extra veterans here, special forces, prevents them from getting caught out in the open by stuns or cohesion damage.
Now we have the air force of the MiG-31s coming around in power. Phantom gets shut down there. Yeah, trying to send in single Phantoms against the MiG-31s, really not the best idea. F-15s and Phantoms doing 1v1 fights there. as you want to have them at least grouped so that the MiG-31s then maybe can run out of ammo and you can get a couple of them shot at once and maybe get a hit out with that and kill off a MiG-31 or so. M109 here on the battlefield can now come in with artillery, but the Bendover is fully pushed back. The town capture here has worked. The situation is super static now, and it is looking like a classic two-leg scam here now that is just slowly fizzling out unless Bendover starts to find a way here to get around this and get some kills. Is trying to attempt some play in the south now, but I don't believe that will work. Lex DAA there, yeah, loses M113 immediately with engineers inside to an Su-24, and there's enough forces there for Tman. Those are powerful enough to hold on for quite a while. 2 Spätzgruppe V, some Concourse, some AA. This is a really well set up defensive line now, and you need better positioning, better maneuver than what Bendover offered us here to actually break this.
Yeah, I really I'm like considering whether it would have been better for the mech force to move southeast on to the south part of the town of Zulu instead of constantly smoking that out. Most of that smoke was back when T-Man had almost no ATGMs in that line. So just having this infantry and scouts move a little bit further, extend the front line, and try to get control over the area that is currently held by the Spetsnaz GRU and Desantniki Konkurs at the south corner of this Zulu town. From that position, you can target and kill reinforcements. All of these AA units, all of these ATGMs here immediately fall victim to Abramses. And even like Bradley autocannons can do a lot of work here. And there really was no reason to not to do that, except that Bendover thought, and maybe realistically also thought, that they could just go head on in the middle. The CEVs are incredible at doing damage. There was artillery up, there are mortars up. So concentrating infantry spam in certain corners of the town was not going to be efficient. But T-Man just microed those engagements so well, and the fire support was just inefficient enough. And now T-Man is such a numerically superior position that they're even kind of counterattacking. The incursion up the northern tree line has now led to BMDs actually doing the counter and targeting Bendover's reinforcements, reinforcement roads at least. Desantniki BMD have SVDs and good AT weapons, and also are just decent infantry in general, so they can fight off these limited infantry forces. And if any Abramses just drive past them, 18 penetration, 60 accuracy, 375 meter, RPG 7BL. Very good weapon. One of the reasons why the Desantniki and Motostrelki and all of these are so expensive.
Yes, we see the Su-24 LGB now also coming in, being protected by MiG-31s. Chaparral's not really able to deal with them. F-15 immediately eats one of those R-33 missiles, gets pushed back, and the Su-24 currently recovering its cohesion a bit, but could come around for another bombing run, could take out an M1A1 here with that, and the AA being down to Chaparral's, that's a big issue here. No long-range AA, no radar AA in 3rd US, so 76, really a nice counter pick here on this map. Fireteam Dragons coming in, cutting out the enemy of the towns early on, using their weakness in ground-based AA, and just smacking them bit by bit with this. The Su-24 doesn't get hit there on the way out. F-15 coming around, but immediately gets stressed out by some MiG-31s here on the other side, and we have so few units here left now for the blue side compared to the red side, as the wave of VDV units just keeps on coming. Nana's sitting in right spots. There was an engagement in the rear. No, I have no idea. Why is the BMD-2 there that just came in damaged? Did something crash into them?
I did not see that, but they have not stopped from what I can see because they're both close enough. Maybe it was actually a crash. Okay, T-Man is buying a Schmel here, but the Schmel is not going to the back lines, but instead going and trying to get sight of the front line for the LGBs and the rest of the planes. And LGB2 getting maybe sacrificed on the altar of Chaparrals on purpose. Who knows? Probably not on purpose. And with smokes now targeting against the Raspetka BMD3s once again, there are a bunch of fast vehicles that T-Man could reposition in defending this same angle, and I think probably should maybe even do that. Just send in some of those Fagots and some of those BMD3s to go out there, and the enemy obviously is building up something.
Yeah, Fireteam Dragon and Scouts holding the north, but the +2 keeps on taking F-15s here out on their own again, so that MiG-21s can start shooting at them again. And if
All
they
the
followed up...
All the Su-24s were out by the time the Schmel got in there. No, what a waste.
Yes, Schmel gets smacked, but that's a cheap unit, so yes, it's annoying, but it's not the end of the world by any means. And more units can come around here now, trying to find more action. As M109 tries to hit the Spätzgruppe V here in the south, conquers, holding the line nicely there so far. This is where Bendover seems to at least stop the tick for now, but I really am a bit confused by the maneuvering of the armored forces here. They just did try to drive up to the town and then just park right in front of it and expect it to flip over. And that's just not how the towns here work on this map. You need to maneuver around this and play a bit more aggressive around all of this. And maybe it might have been better to actually play for the southern town and use the terrain up to X-ray instead of playing the Zulu if you play like this. But yeah, I'm not sure. It all seems to be a bit tough now for Bendover. LGB2 is coming around again. It's super expensive, 315 points, but with the amount of units on the ground, it can be afforded by our player in red. And the LGB2 will get the bomb out, and M1A1 will get smacked.
Yeah, I don't know if Bendover had the chance of playing 8th Infantry here, because for me it seems like this would be completely just better in every way, playing 8th Infantry. You would have better and larger infantry squads. You would not have the Bradleys, but you would also still have the tanks and the CEVs, crucially. And you would also get Eyehawks into fighting long range against these bombers and fighter.
It was the counter pick from T-Man here, I believe. I'm pretty certain. So, like, it was the 3rd US first. But even then, like, with what we got here, yeah, you need to play a bit more mobile. The LGBs are annoying, so you have to keep your chaparrals around and so on, obviously. But you can't just play it statically like this if the enemy has a +2 on you, and then also send infantry into fights they never can win on their own. Against Spätzgruppe V, which is one of the best special forces in the game, you can't just run in your infantry on their own, especially in town fights with the submachine guns +2 medium machine guns. Like, their firepower is intense, and your scouts, your fireteam dragons, your engineers, they just don't stand a chance on their own. You need those fire support units to be able to shoot into it, and for that you have to get better setups.
Yeah, even if you didn't have the satchel charges for the Spätzgruppas, they would out DPS enemies very quickly. But with the satchel charge, they basically guarantee an early stun even on a high cohesion enemy. Oh, look at the M1 Abrams! How was that a side shot? Where was the side?
Even with a side shot.
A back shot.
Yeah. Even with a side shot, it wouldn't have been a kill. The M1A1 tried to get away, but it got rear shotted there by the Conquerors. Did go down, and now we don't even have an M1A1 on this battlefield anymore. So now the one thing that you had going for yourself here as 3rd US is gone as well. And yeah, T-Man shows that he still got it. Picked the right division for the matchup. That's why he is such a king in tournaments. He might not be the ladder king anymore. That is Skifik's place to be nowadays. But he might still be the tournament god that he always was. And it's great to have him back in WARNO League. And yeah, he gets another scoreboard here. not quite as good of a run as against Vo, but at least still get some points here. Really close to making it to the playoffs here now. Only the game against Jeremy left, and yeah, really strong show here. With 76 just completely outplaying Bendover.
Yeah, I mean, it was a two legs game, so there's only so much that can be analyzed from it. But Bendover, like I if I was trying to execute that strategy on this map, even even without knowing what the enemy division was going to be, I would still rather play 8th US there. Maybe T-Man had banned it because Bendover is such a reliant 8th player, but the like the CEV infantry support strategy is a very powerful one. And if it had been executed properly, I think T-Man could have lost the town up north. T-Man's defenses were not as powerful as they should have been. But after the first losses, there was just a series of delays and missed kind of decision making entropy happening out there for Bendover that allowed the VDB to just infest the place completely, which is what they're kind of supposed to be doing. Just quickly moving into a zone and putting so much stuff there that you even if you can kill it, you're never going to take it.
So yeah, we have a really clean 2 legs game here. T-Man really playing 76 as clean as possible there. A good couple of plays there with the direct engagements, and I like the force composition that Bendover brought, but he then ran it into the town and it just fizzled out. And that brings us to the next match where we got Pro Commie versus Chich. So really hot matchup there as well. Quick break, and then we're gonna get into another Division 1 action here. So here we return, series number 3 of the day, and we have another heavy tank matchup here in front of us. As on the left side, as per usual, Chich bringing around 5th Panzer. We have seen Chich and Bottom Feeder a lot on these kind of divisions, and they don't go away from it, as we are on the lovely map of Kreide, whilst on the right side, Pro Commie bringing around the 9th Panzer, and this is post-patch 9th Panzer. So this is interesting, as a lot of people talked about how this division now might be pretty low, but Pro Commie is still a believer, even with 180 points T72 MEVs, and it's going to be interesting to see how these will perform. BMP1 is here coming around as well, with Malyutkas on top of them. It's the Modschützen coming as cheap as possible. No Conquerors BMP1s here coming around. So, yeah, interesting opener here. And it's going to be really interesting to see how 9th Panzer performs against 5th Panzer, which only got nerfed slightly. The 2A4C going up to 280 points. As the 9th for sure got nerfed the hardest maybe out of all divisions in this patch, with them being so reliant on the 72s. But it might still be a powerhouse. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, alongside maybe 20th Polish Panzerna also very reliant on the T-72s. Like the cost increases for these tanks are just massive, and like 20-point, 15-point increases may not look like much, but they actually mean a lot in game.
Yeah,
And
the Polish still have the fast recon. This division doesn't have that, and the Polish smokeless T-72 didn't get changed. Here, both the MEV and the M1 got changed in price, so yeah, it seems like Pro Commie is still a believer, and if Pro Commie is still a believer, that usually means that the division is still good, because Pro Commie analyzes the game like few other players. He was the one that kept that got second UK into top tier and kept it there for all the time, even though some British players out there tried to make us believe that it suffered at multiple stages. He played it in top tier tournaments and won and won and won, and maybe he can make the same happen with 9th Panzer, even after the nerfs. This is really going to be interesting.
But the tactic that we're seeing so far come here seems to be just pretty box standard mech aggro with a division that is very much into the late game. I like to describe ninth as a juggernaut division because it really does require the numbers. It lacks special forces recon. It lacks those fast deploying unit, as you said. But currently in the meta, you can kind of compensate that by sending in the 30-point recon helicopters to do the job. And what they do get is a bunch of East German infantry. And East German infantry is just, on the average, better than everybody else's. And it may not be crucial on this map. You have a lot of points for infantry fights, even though the distances generally lead to more vehicle fights. So being able to maybe rely on your vetted up Motorschützen being able to just fight off the enemy's Siegerungs and Pioneers and Panzergrenadiers. Maybe that is the motivation here. They also get a pretty nice air tab and as well as very decent Cube-centered long-range air defense. We're already seeing an up-vetted Cube coming in for Pro Commie here. All of this really telling us that this is going to be aggro. And if you can do successful aggro with 9th Panzer, you are kind of you're kind of breaking the divine laws here, where the 5th Panzer is supposed to be the more aggressive one with the more aggressive unit composition, and 9th Panzer is supposed to be the one that waits until the incendiary napalm rocket launchers are out there. But with the recon-heavy composition, with a bunch of the Aufklärer BMP-1s going out there and obviously planning out these positions very well, Pro Commie, I do rely. My number one player is Pro Commie and has been for a long time. It's nothing personal about the guy. He's just really good at WARNO.
Yeah, Roland 3 pushing forward, Leo 185s and Leo 181s coming in. Chich always has been on the forefront of keeping mechanized play in there. Even in times when we had infantry metas, Chich was able to make tank divisions play. He was one of the first adopters of first UK Armored. He was always good with 5th Panzer as well. So it's going to be interesting here. The clash of the German tank divisions. The East here coming in with a lot of cheap forces. T-72 MEV and the T-72S though. Really interesting combo. The severe missile of the T-72S can be dangerous for any kind of tank on the other side. It's long range, fast flying, hard hitting. So those tanks are pretty interesting here. Can even be dangerous to the 2A4C. But if it goes to a gun range fight, the 2A4C is obviously favored against anything on the other side.
Yeah, the T-72's biggest weakness outside of its speed or lack of is the autoloader locked rate of fire. Unlike a T-80 whose autoloader locks in at 10 RPM, the T-72 locks at 8 RPM, which means that follow-up shots, especially early on in a fight, are going to be slower than the non-autoloadered 10 rate of fire of the Leopards and of all the Leopards actually. But when it comes to first shots, where the reload time is not as relevant, that's where the T-72s can shine. An immediate engine damage going out there for the move, but a Malyutka side front line does actually catch the Leopard 185. Leopard 2, very wounded, backing off. Only tank on the field right now. No, I don't count support tanks. The 1A, 1A1s, they're not really into these kinds of fights. They can't fight even under the Malyutka ATGM coverage. The Leopard ones cannot move. And there's already an Su-22 AT plane up. Now, this is the good one. This is not the 4th Moto MiG-23 AT plane. This is the dedicated one. And these things have good ECM, they have decent speed, they have good agility, and the missiles are powerful enough to be a problem at every angle. And a second Leopard 2A4C getting bought here, and a bunch of support tanks coming into to hold the southern line. Chich not immediately pushing into Boris, aka Bravo, aka the landing zone, which is the smart choice here. I think you really want Pro Commie to overextend, considering Pro Commie's recon opener got them both the crossroads at the highway area and the forest southwest of Fedor and north of center. That is the position that is currently ruling and holding because it gives vision over Chich's reinforcement road.
Leo 2A4C now pushing forwards towards the BMP-1s, and the Malyutka gets the BMP-1 killed. It's still only on 6 hit points, so it has to be careful, but it gets the Malyutka taken out as well. Can disengage with high speed. Gepard killing off some units in the south. T-72S now rotating around. Will finish off the recon in the center, so new recon has to be bought by Chich. Has a French Bay on the way, but it's not on the front line yet. Leo 1A1 gets overwhelmed by the BMP-1s in the south, so Pro-Commi can take a bit more territory. The trade's okay for Chich, but the territory loss is worrying so far.
Yeah, the reinforcements coming in for Pro-Commi seem to be pretty defensive. There are Sturms, there are Fagots, and there are BMP-1s. Even a Shilka getting out here, so Pro-Commi seems to be kind of feeling good about these positions, doesn't really feel the need to push any further. Obviously, any kind of tank push at this point would be a massive overextension, giving Chich the counterattack of the league here, potentially. These positions for Pro-Commi are completely and entirely reliant on good recon coverage and ATGMs. If the Leopards get to taste blood, if the zero vet T-72 gets shot at a couple of times, it loses cohesion, and even if it retains its rate of fire, its accuracy will go down. What I think Pro-Commi wants to happen here is that Chich attacks and Pro-Commi manages to get the key tanks killed with AT planes. Maybe even I don't think ninth gets seed, but there are other methods of killing the Rolands as well. And Pro-Commi is very aggressive in using bombers, and you always say that people in this game, even the competitive league, don't really use the airplanes as well as they're supposed to. And as I was saying, the Rolands get a free kill on the Su-22. But nevertheless, Pro-Commi's, one of Pro-Commi's signature divisions is the 6th Guards. And that division is specifically good because of all of its cheap MiG-21.
Leo 1A1 gets the kill onto a T-72 MEV, but then gets bailed out by the BRM-1 behind it. Still a good trade there for Chich. Unfortunate for the Leo 1A1 that it got just killed off by the least threatening gun on the other side there. BRM-1 getting the bailout there. Unfortunate. But Leo 2A4C goes down in the north at the same time. That is the much bigger loss. Fagot with the side shot there. T-72S in a scary position. And Chich maybe not attacking it from the right angle there. This open field being threatened. He has a big push coming through the north now. Leo 1A1, Martyrs and Co. pushing through there. But losing a Leo 2A4C is a big setback here to the middle situation. At least got one T-72 killed there. But the situation for sure better now for Pro-Commi. Those Leo 2A4s, they are supposed to be the ones that snowball you through the game. And they are hard to kill for the enemy side here. There are no high level pen, like nothing like 23, 24, 25 pen in the 9th Panzer. So getting a kill against the Leo 2A4 always feels great.
Yeah, the highway attack coming in here is being... Pro-Commi is defending with close-range defense, not letting the Motoschützen get in the... get targetable by my Martyrs and Leopards. And this is the point when the Motoschützen, with their extra Resolutes, their good AT weapons, and their extra machine gun, all for 45 points, this is where the East German advantage is going to start showing. But down south, the Motoschützen on longer range engagements have actually been completely whittled down. And it's only by the grace of good luck, really, that Pro-Commi has the time to reinforce with a T-72 here. Oh, and the Fagot actually forcing off a smoke out of a Leopard 2 here, meaning even that Leopard is going to probably just stay still and be a little bit more passive. The attack on the highway area getting stopped by close-range fighting. The Chich's fire support is not in position due to the inherent attacker's disadvantage, and a bunch of the BMP-1s, even with their light weaponry, can actually provide this here. But now we can see autocannons probably dismantling the rest of this. Procomi has some helicopters to do defense in depth with, but right now that is the only defense. No reinforcements are going up to Fedor or even up to Elena. And up north, Procomi's last Motorschützen is exchanging fire and has routed an enemy pioneer, but probably is not going to stay there for long.
Yeah, and he also got pushed out of Bravo for the Boris for the most part. Leo 1A5's there, cleaning house together with the Fuchs Razit. Oh, T-72S though gets a route, and the Leo 2A4C in the center is routed as well, and that is a disaster. Because now it can be hunted down by ATGMs, gets hit another time by a storm. T-72S can move forward there as well. The other Leo 2A4C that got damaged and pretty stressed is trying to rally here to get it safe, but BMP-1 and Fagots hunting it down. Only 2 hit points, 1 hit point. Can the Fagot finish it off? It can. Another Leo 2A4 going down. Unfortunately there. Oh, the route there. Yeah, she's keeping the Leo 2A4s in the wrong spots. Like, a bit too far forward. A bit too much surrounding, too many surrounding forces around them. They should be a bit further back. The side armor of 6 is a big weakness of any Leo, and they still have that. So setting them up there in the force on the front, costing Chich 2 of the super valuable 2A4Cs. He still will have a lot of Leo 2A3s, but they're not quite as hard punching and hard to kill as those 4Cs, and that will be an issue. He's about to capture Northern Territory, so that is nice. He is contesting Boris, but the middle is not going so well right now. The rest of the map is going pretty decently. Center, not so much.
Yeah, the victories for Chich are all on secondary fronts, whereas the center is just way too well defended. Procomi, very interestingly, actually cutting off the reinforcement route for the enemy attack on the highway, meaning that an enemy leader that might be driving through there is going to be taken out by either the BMP or the Motorschützen. Not being able to contest those units straight up with the Pioneer Carl Gustavs and Leopard 1s being a very powerful combination.
Oh, Leo 2A3 there gets critted by the T-72 in the south. Has to fall back. So that is annoying once more here for Chich. Chich struggling to deal with those high-level T-72s. Gepard in the mid will most likely kill the Motorschützen there that just got a martyr. Jaguar 2 goes down in the south as well. So yeah, Chich struggling to fully break the situation. Is getting a couple more shots out here with his Panzer Grenadiers and the Leo 1s, but there's too much red now around Bravo, so he will need to win the fight around the north. And yeah, as you said, cutting off the reinforcement road there with T-72s, with the Motorschützen between Dimitri and Fyodor is a really good move by Procomi, and Chich now being forced to run into bad positions and loses Leo 1A1s there, losing a Leo 2A3 in the north as well, getting shut down by a T-72s, and those Leo numbers, those Leo losses are just something that you can't afford at this stage. Gepard going down as well. Chich Combined Arms is falling apart rapidly here right now.
Yeah, it seems like the humble Motorschützen really is kind of carrying a lot of this here. It's not powerful enough to like win fights on its own, but there are Motorschützen everywhere, and they are pretty difficult to get rid of, especially when you vetted them up to 2 wet. The Resolute basically gives them the stress resistance of an elite unit, of a 3 vet unit, and now you can reliably just keep sending them out there, and knowing how reliant on vehicles Fifth is going to be, the RPG-7 VLs are just powerful enough and just cheap enough to not have to worry about this. And yeah, the northernmost attack completely cutting off the attack force, and Procomi is likely going to regain control of the northern side, and because Chich has to reinforce the middle. Chich cannot afford to actually start a grind fight up north. Procomi is currently holding all the cards, whether he knows it or not.
Yeah, and Procomi also just combining the cheap ATGMs, like not using the Conquerors BMP ones, using the cheap ones with the Malyutkas, using the Fagot ATGMs here, and combining those that stress out the enemy together with the severe ATGMs that actually, and the strong teams like the Sturm S as well that can kill off Leo 2s and just completely bullying the Leo 2s on the open field with that. Like the Mochitsen holding the side and the HGM wall just keeping off and killing off Leo 2s in ways that they shouldn't be allowed to do. Big misplays here by Chich in the control of his tank forces, leading to just disastrous outcomes, and I don't see how you come back at this stage with 5th Panzer. Like, the combined arms collapsing on them is one of the biggest issues for 5th Panzers when we see them lose, and this seems to be just on par with what we have seen a good couple of times before, and especially with the lead already being on Pro-Commi's side, with Pro-Commi sending in more and more units here to hold this territory cheaply. The Leo 2 plop would have to just smack through his position, and I just don't see this happening anymore.
Yeah, it's I mean the the countering force here for Chich is pretty legitimate. I mean, you do have a front line with some first bears. You have decent numbers of tanks, even if they are under artillery fire right now. You have the emergency PA 1 to prevent enemy vehicle breakthroughs. Don't really have any infantry outside of these Marder Milans that are going to be doing fortification duties here. So Boris out of commit, not getting into Boris. So that's out of the picture right now. Not going to be able to fight for Gregory, though currently holding it. Pushing into Fedor, also unrealistic. Once again, Chich has to go into the center. And the center has the prepared positions of Sturms, of Malyutkas. There are Kubes, helicopters, and just all around a wide front line of cheap and effective units. And these units would not really be useful in any other position except defending on long range this wide front, but that is probably why Pro-Commi is using them. Now, Pro-Commi's like opener of Moto Aufklärers with BMP-1s taking these positions has been so absolutely vindicated, maybe knowing that the extra BMP-1s are just enough to be able to fight off the first pair if you're going out there in numbers. And of course, I'm sure the double recon heli opener also kind of told Pro-Commi what was going to be safe and what wasn't. But like, how incredibly validated must it feel like to never lose your daring, slow recon opener attack positions?
Yeah, Bench Bears here holding the rear. Leo 2A4Cs coming in again, but they need to get some big kills here. No artillery, I think, is a big mistake from Chich as well, to take out the positions in the middle. He had good Bench Bear, he had good recon, but the other side had artillery coming in. The other side had those ATGMs constantly pinging, but Chich's forces were usually just standing around in the middle, getting shot at or just not doing anything at all. And Leo 1A5s here, engaging against BMP-1, trying to get some kills. Roland 3 will try to get some shots out here against some helicopters, will get some value, but the question is, how do you actually get the momentum turned around again? And for that, you would need to get a really concise force into a spot where it can't break the enemy. The push of Pro-Commi in the north might allow for some kills here. Pioneer Carl Gustavs are in positions, but a bit too quick of a reaction here from Chich. Moving out a bit too early in my eyes and running straight into the fire. Also giving Pro-Commi enough space to return behind it. Leo 2A4 engaging not in the right direction, moment. Artillery coming in on top of all of this from Pro-Commi as well. No, this is not the fight that turns the favor here. Mochitsen and BRM1 getting killed, so Chich at least getting some value. But he doesn't blow up the whole thing, and he kind of would need that right now. 22 minutes, it's still time, but on this map, which is also a relatively slow-taking one, you need to get around eventually here to get the tick into your favor.
Yeah, the counterattack here on the highway is... this is when these long-range fights with numbers of leopards and and the Pavan supporting. These are, of course, like bad positions for Pro Commie, but we already saw what's going to happen if those tanks go out there into Fedor. They are so easily cut off by Pro Commie's forces in the middle. They can be contained there because there are forests all around the point, and you also don't know as Pro Commie whether or not there are going to be catastrophically well placed Motorschützen units all around the place, or even Rasvedka units, which get your extra stealth. So the carefulness here is pretty warranted from chich, even after those good trades. Even more T-72Ss are getting bought. I think these might be the last ones. Pro Commie taking them on 0 vet. Really the only main battle tank that you should take on 0 vet, and even then only if you're Pro Commie. You, the viewer, are not allowed to do that. You should take them at vet 1. The numbers and the severe missiles are just too good to not have the maximum amount of them all throughout the game.
Yeah, Leo 283 is here trying to deal with the Fagots, but getting hit there in return. Really, artillery doing that for you as a Leo would be so much easier. Artillery piece costs similar to a Leo 283. Having one of them just picking around the ATGM teams, stunning them down, getting some kills, and helping you out. Maybe helping out with some smoke screens as well could be really helpful here, so that the Leos don't just get all their cohesion whittled away the moment they move out anywhere. We still have a solid force now of Leos in the north, and the center at least should be good enough to hold, but the movement here forward will be so tough. We still need some setups here, some kills that actually swing the game around, killing off 2-3 T-72s here, but Pro Commie stretches out nicely. Pro Commie has his forces set up nicely. BMP 2 loss, sure, but you also got a Panzergrenadier for that. Fernspeer in the middle is likely to go down here, as no other unit there around to really assist it on its runaway. The Fagot team still alive in the center, still being annoying, and the Leo 2s come back into the center, but once more, that just means that they will push into the concave, and that is always tough.
Yeah, the Pro Commies infantry are driving the Chich's forces a little bit further away with the BMP-1 support, but there is no leader. Actually, no, wait, there is a leader. There's a leader immediately catching the Gregory spot, and with only a Gepard going out there, I think this is going to be permanent Pro Commie territory right now. Middle long-range fighting. Fagot actually running out of missiles, but Leopards don't know about that, and are taking a safe distance once again. Artillery striking right at the position where the Leopard leader is going into, but not doing any significant damage. Now a flanking T-72S is going to go out there, and if it gets the first shot, it can be very good, but with its low cohesion, it's very risky to actually have that thing engaging in close range fighting.
Yeah, artillery here coming in. Fernspeers eating the damage. Going pretty low. Malyutka and BMP-1s going down on the other side. The Fernspeer get killed off. The push of Pro Commie in the north is working out. +3 is happening. And that is really setting the timer now on chich to get something done here or be out of it. And move on to game number 2. Brings in Panzergrenadiers for the south. Now moves his tanks here for one final push. And that has to work. There is no way around this. This push here now has to make it or break it. And chich has to pull the trigger soon, otherwise the forces will get even more there in the center. Currently, there might still be a way, but without an artillery piece, there's 3 Fagots there. Artillery pieces would be so helpful. I don't get why we didn't see any in this game here, especially as chich had Fernspeers around, seeing so much of the battlefield for so long. And the defensive positions here are the big headache that he has with his tanks. So not using the unit that counters that is a big mistake here by chich.
Yeah, I think it's easy when you're buying units to get caught by the horse blinder effect. Sturm getting a kill here, nice. The horse blinder effect of always knowing I just need two more tanks, just two more tanks, and I can break through this. Just two more tanks, and then you know that well the tanks can also fight off the BMPs, and the tanks can also fight off the T-72s. So why wouldn't I be buying more tanks? You're always just a few tanks off from breaking the front line, but that's not sustainable because those attacks are going to be so costly and those defenses are going to be so cheap that on the long term you're just gonna get delayed and delayed until you're in this position where you have all the tanks, yes, but you don't really have anything else.
The artillery
Just
hitting so well. This push, it can't happen now. They might even get the kill there. The Leo 2s are they're moving away, but they are completely combat inefficient again. The push self wants to happen, but this is also showing what the issue with these Leo 2s is. Like, that they sit around so long, not doing anything, that artillery can hit them. That's not how you use a tank as 5th Panzer. Those have to be active constantly, non-stop, actually killing enemies. And in this game, they mostly had the job as the punching bag for the enemy. Like, the amount of ammo used by the Leo 2A4s was actually really, really limited. They either got hit from out of their range by ATGMs or by artillery throughout this game, and that's not what they were made for. They were made for to just blow stuff up, and they haven't done this that much this game, and this is why this is currently snowballing so heavily in favor of Pro Commie. And Chich desperately tries to change that, but he needs to use his Layer 2s for that, and he hasn't found a way to do that, and he's really running out of time to doing so, as his supplies got killed there now, so his Leos can't be repaired. And he's trying to push into the south, but there are enough defensive units. There are more BMP2s coming up as well, which actually have hard-hitting ATGMs, and if I got spam in the middle, just means that anything goes to low cohesion immediately as well. So it's a pretty unsolvable puzzle at this stage now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if 9th Panzer is the absolute best division to do this sort of opener that Pro Commie did, but Pro Commie just going and forcefully moving into those defensive positions, not with the fastest possible units, but with the Aufklärer BMP-1s. And it did work. The Aufklärer BMP-1s had very minimal ATGMs, but those ATGMs were enough to buy those to hold those positions until the actually good stuff, the Sturms and the Svirs, could move in there. Maybe it is the T-72S that is really the corner here. I think Pro Commie obviously has been playing so much with them we haven't seen even like the standard T-72s. We're just seeing the cheap ones and the high-tech ones, which kind of tells me that the T-72S and its capacity to be like the perfect mega range defensive tank is a core component of this, either in the same way that in your 20th Polish play, you always are going to play with the Spec Ops Recon. And the fact that the Pro Commie is putting in fagots in here instead of concurses is a interesting choice, in my opinion. Not just is the fagot a little bit underpowered going against the leopards, but it's also very cheap. So if the enemy transitions into artillery, if they go out there and get those kills, they are still going to be only killing 55-point fagots, which are way more replaceable, and the mech forces carrying the fighting capacity. And now we can see even like Malyutkas are moving out there, everything's moving out there to converge on the enemy, knowing the enemy is in a bad engagement right now.
Yeah, the Leos do survive here, and if Chich would be in a leading spot right now and just would have 30 minutes more time to grind here, this would actually have been a good engagement. But Chich, with this grind fight, didn't gain any territory. And now all his units are on low cohesion, all his units are in need of repair again. He doesn't have anything to repair, he won't get them up to high cohesion anytime soon either, and his units just get whittled away here. Storm actually being able to take away on the Leo 2A3 in the south, as that one isn't able to spot it right now. Mudschützen there in the forest as well. Jäger Aufklärer looks not moving into a position. It seems like chich is overwhelmed right now, micro-wise as well. Oh, Fanspeyer going down. F4, FAT trying to come around, but it's only 11 minutes now. It's 1,500 points already on Kreider, and looks at Leo 2A3 here now, finding the units finally in the south, but I don't think there's going to be any movement here anymore, because now you can just keep on printing T-72's MEVs into this whole situation, and those alone would be enough to hold the area for the time. BMP1's getting engaged. Leo 2A4 is finally going down there, and the numbers here on Chich's side are dwindling. Leo 2A3 is getting hit by artillery once more because they are so static, and that's such a shame, seeing those super fast breakthrough tanks being so static. It always hurts.
Yeah, I mean, putting Cheech of all people into this situation has been really interesting to see, and I think Pro Commi is like you can look at how rigid Pro Commi's forces are. There is always the Motto Aufklärer. Behind the Motto Aufklärer, there is a mix of cheap and expensive ATGMs. The cheap ones and expensive ones work together because the enemy in the quick events that are happening cannot necessarily spot which one can be tanked and which one can't. So just a random Malyutka or a Fagot going out there can easily force out a smoke, and without the smoke, Leopard 2 is not going to be advancing until it has gained kind of regained the smoke with the resupply. And I think that we have seen that again and again here, that the Leopards are getting delayed and are getting put into bad positions where the T-72Ss with their 2,800 meters can just bully them and can just keep them away from proper engagements. Even now we're seeing the Leopard 2s move towards the Motoschützen because the alternative would be to move towards the T-72S.
And SU-22 is here, taking out more Leos. One damaged, one getting killed by rockets, another one getting out by the SU-22 here. And the time is taken down. +3 here for Pro Commi, 1 minute 37, and Chich accepts the defeat here, tapping out, and will have to find a different solution for this really stable Pro Commi opener here. Pro Commi really playing this fantastically here, and gets ahead in this game and gets a good bit closer to the playoffs, which he did miss last season. Really big upset there after winning Season 2. He didn't make it out of group stage in Season 3. Though with one more win here, he would be pretty close to that. So Pro Commi really wants this next map.
Yeah, and I'm very excited in seeing this. The Teach was kind of caught down with the like pants down, I think, by the very aggressive positioning early on. And Pro Commi obviously has drilled out and figured out which are the angles that units should be positioned in for maximum effect. But like Cheech was counterattacking. Cheech had the capacity. Cheech was not giving up there. They were jumping in and getting a next wave of tanks, and they were doing the next wave of recon front lines, and they were trying new stuff constantly. But I think maybe in the game number 2, they can prepare for Pro Commi's always just extremely methodical and reliable and efficient gameplay. Maybe they get to play against a division where Pro Commi is more established, so there's more understanding of what he's going to do. But we'll see that in the next game. On 2 legs? No, it's on 2. No, wait, it's not on 2 legs. Oh, thank God, it's a Mount River duel. Oh.
the fixed 2 legs. So yeah, quick break, and then we're gonna be on that one. So here we return, everybody. Game number 2, Pro Commi versus Chich, and the changes to the divisions only have been slight. Pro Commi bringing around the Knife Panzer again, and Chich bringing the slightly weird speaking 5th Panzer, aka 4th Divise. They have Leo 2s as well. They have some infantry in IFVs. They are a pretty heavy deck based around the heavy tanks, and they have a bit better fort, maybe, though they got nerfed a good bit as well in the last patch. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one plays out here. Before we jump in, though, one more quick shout out to the Metrino page, guys, where you can help out funding the tournament and help out increasing the prize pool. And all you have to do is click the claim code button here. Thanks to all of you who already did. And yeah, much appreciating the support. Also, if you want to help out the channel and want to help me out being able to invest more time into all of this, consider leaving a subscription or on Twitch or a channel membership on YouTube. Those go a long way helping out. Each one of those is equal to a couple thousand normal views, so really helps me out being able to allocate a bit more time next to my normal main day job and maybe making this my main day job eventually one day. But yeah, for now, we are here with Chich and Procomi, and a lot of interesting movements here already out of Procomi towards the center, which usually is not the vocal point anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the like when this map first came out into the ladder, obviously people started going mid. They want to fight over the middle position called sign, often also called X-ray. The middle position is 2 points. It's got a bunch of towers. It's easily defendable. So people would take their tank openers and smash them against each other in the middle. But later on, they realized that the tank fighting in the middle is maybe the worst thing that you can do unless it's going really, really well, because you can be spotted and countered and flanked from every direction. And then we have moved into this current mode where people generally invest pretty lightly into the middle, and getting long-range ATGMs and recon out there to try to prevent the enemy from leaving their side, and then focusing the attacks on north, where you have these close-range positions where infantry can deal you results, as well as down south, where if you the area in the middle of Sign, Olga, and Leonid, if you capture buildings around here, you can gain amazing map control, very defensible locations, and you can, with pretty limited amount of resources, get infantry into these small zones. So right now we're seeing this, despite all of this, we're seeing the T-72S going into the middle with the Sturms as well. They are expecting the Dutch to go through the mid. And Dutch are one of the most mid-going divisions around, because they have the M113 CNB, one of the best units in the game, in my opinion, absolutely overperforming still, maybe a little bit less with the autocannon nerf, but they used to have twice the number of them. Now they have just one card, which is good, in my opinion, and losing that very overpowered early recon attack unit has kind of made the division a little bit less all in, and we're seeing the YPRs and Leopards go solidly up north here. Procomi is gonna get the information immediately. MI2s and the MI2 ERs following them are recognizing that there's a KCT Wegener's. KCT Wegener's are easy to kill, and they're pretty expensive for being four-man squads. Of course, they are GSR infantry, which is where the cost is coming from. They're very crucial for the late game and for the tanks to actually succeed. So sacrificing an MI2 in trying to get the Wegener's is a pretty decent deal. Now, iHawk unloads and takes out the light helicopter, with a freedom fighter going and diving the second one, with the freedom fighters getting another gun. They have the realistic amount of guns now. They're actually pretty all right in strafing helicopters.
Yeah, MiG-23 here, not quite getting the kill there, as Coop did hit the freedom fighter immediately, and she's now bringing around the Nantes, the reservist infantry, which got better this patch, or reservist infantry a good bit better now, with a better reload and aim time due to that being split off into the militia trait. And YPRs here now coming around in force, together with one Leo 2A4C. Will try to push forward, but Procomi going for the throat now, realizing that there's not that much in the center, so he can keep on pushing forward there. ATGMs flying around against the YPRs. The MR13 engaging a Mi-2 helicopter, but not dealing all that much damage. There are more forces for chich in the south, but chich obviously doesn't know as much as we do about that, so yeah, some probing attacks there could be successful, but they are not coming just yet. Instead, chich for now focusing on getting into Anna, and maybe using the Leo 2A4Cs a bit better this time around, a bit more proactively, getting a couple more kills instead of having them being stuck in some spots for when waiting for the artillery to rain down on them.
Yeah, so what we see Procomi doing here is Procomi actually setting up a front line right there in the middle in a position to support the defense of Anna up north. Not really a position to support the attack, considering that there's going to be there are still like a lot of angles and a lot of dangerous ground to.
BMP-1 could hand down the Eyehawk in the rear here. That could be big. It gets a shot off, and it gets the kill! Motion accuracy of 15, but this guy doesn't care. It gets the kill there. Really unfortunate for chich. Like, it was nearly max range, and it was on the motion, but Procomi gets the kill there. The loss of the Eyehawk is frustrating, because that was what protected you from those Su-22s, those pesky ones coming around, and this is a really big win for Procomi, getting rewarded for his active play there. chich did react with the Eyehawk, nearly had it in a secure spot, but just barely was too slow and gets punished for that.
Yeah, the chich's counterattack pushing towards these towers currently held by the Mottoaufklärer are going to be inefficient because the Motorschützen and all the rest of them are just in such great positions. And the Panzerinfanterie will lose against Motorschützen 1v1 pretty handily. But so far, chich has not really been overextending. I think Procomi had really good vision a few minutes ago about chich's forces moving up, and I think these positions in the middle were taken as an expectation of being able to punish the enemy for overextension. But chich did not go into that trap and is attacking up the northernmost flank, and now we're seeing Procomi actually give orders to move back and then attack from a different angle, with the BMP-1s, BRM-1 and T-72 trying to now somehow join in on the defense of Anna. And with moves and even more infantry getting ordered in here, Procomi probably wants to start this fight now and keep it going as the reinforcements arrive, because these engagement this very second, all of them are going in chich's favor.
Yeah, chich wins the light fights. Like, his autocannon vehicles can run over BMP-1s and even BMP-2s in the autocannon ranges really easily, but he doesn't have all that many ATGMs there around. The IFVs of the Dutch don't have any ATGMs, so bringing T-72s means that then the enemy needs to use their Leo 2s or some TOW 2 teams, which we haven't seen yet, to deal with that. And that forces a much bigger investment. We haven't seen that many Leos here on the battlefield just yet. One Leo 2A4 and two Leo 1NLs here. And that means dealing with the T-72 MUVs is going to be problematic. We have a F-16HE actually coming in here. Coop will hit hard. The bomber doesn't quite get the kill onto the T-72, gets a kill onto the recon helicopter, but gets shot down. And the F-5 goes down as well. The two F-5 HE bombers don't get their bombs out at all. So the air fight here, not good for chich. The ground fight, okay for now. The T-72s are still a problem though. But one of them went down in the north. And the MUV in the center might be overwhelmed soon as well. Leo 1NL and Leo 2A4C here, trying their best to get in range. Mottoaufklärer though, protecting it nicely. BMP-1 goes down to the Leo 2A4C, but that's not the important kill here. And the Leo 2A4C has to disengage again, run away into the smoke. A decent amount of ground kills here for chich, but mostly the BMP-1s and so on, which at least are replaceable for Procomi.
Yeah, the BMP-1 is the silent MVP of these games. It's a 30-point unit, which means that it's basically free. And having the 4 Malyutkas, and the Malyutkas being low on damage and accuracy, but 2,625 meter range. And that the number of missiles giving out suppression, forcing the enemy to panic and differentiate from which one is a Kokon or a Svir, and which one is a Malyutka, which one is a Conquerors. All of these are very difficult to do when you're constantly micro and controlling and trying to keep your tanks up, uh, trying to individually smoke them and individually move them, and trying to get the maximum damage out of them. Current moment not going well for Pro Commie. Chich's mech have a solid position here, and the ATGMs just did not get the results necessary. Right now, I'm thinking Pro Commie kind of needs to, first of all, repair all their equipment and hope Cheech doesn't capitalize on this, and then start doing an infantry attack up north. And Cheech could try to move and attack the position in the middle. Cheech has some forces down south that could do a pincer attack, and does have units coming that could also push into Sign. I'm not sure if Cheech has the recon information to realize how empty this zone is, because otherwise uh, they could probably just like get this.
Yeah, the
And
Leo 2 this time around way more successful than the last game so far. None getting killed, and the one that was on the battlefield here was really active so far, really getting a lot of shots out, getting a good amount of kills. Moving now towards the north, will run into a Fagot ATGM there most likely, but yeah, if this would have been killed, then Chich's whole northern front would have collapsed. But he kept it nicely alive, microed it really well, and is now in a slight advantage position-wise here. Motschützen fighting Panzer Infantry in the rear. The Resolute of the Motschützen helping out there, but the Panzer Infantry is too wet as well, so both sides there dealing a lot of damage to each other. Leo 2A4 is coming around. F5 HE tried to get some bomb drops off, but couldn't quite find it. The saving grace here for Pro Commie right now is that all the T-72s here are still in a mostly good stage. Only one going down so far. The other ones are still around, the T-72S especially. So it's not like Chich can just break through, but pushing Chich back for Pro Commie here in this game will be decently hard now.
yeah, there's another freedom fighter bomber having I haven't noticed, but the NF5A actually has 2 very heavy bombs. These are 450 kilogram bombs, and like these things, if you get them accurately, can, if not kill, then at least disable a T-72. And there's currently 2 poops out there, but the freedom fighter has 10 health, so it can survive a coup hit.
Yeah, went for the Motschützen instead, at least giving Chich full control back over the forest there, pushing slowly forward. Cheetah gets a bit of damage onto the MiG-23, which might end up deadly because iHawk and another Cheetah engage it now. iHawk does miss though, so it will survive here, will get out alive. T-72 MEVs pushing through the north, but there's 2 Leo 2s now, one A4B and one A4C, which with the C having a bit more frontal armor, but both having fantastic penetration. So the MEV should be pushable for those 2 tanks if they micro it nicely. They should be able to kill it off. Oh, but they keep on missing here. It's 1 vet Leo 2s, but they finally get a hit here. 3 rounds beforehand, no kills. Storm gets taken out in the center. Leo 1NL does barely survive. And we see a flank here from the Leo 2A4. Oh, Mod Aufklärer there! Ooh, missing with the RPG-18. Would have been a side shot otherwise, most likely. So, important miss there. She's being a bit lucky. Trying to deal with the Mod Aufklärer. Leo 2A4B getting more engagements in there. M113 CV engaging the BMP-1 as the Panzer Infantry goes down here in the north. Cheetah and Leo 2A4C all getting involved, trying to get some damage done.
Pro Commie sending the planes, wanting to get the punish here.
Gets one. Gets a cheetah. Ihawk out of ammo. Ihawk gets overrun. Oh, big mistake there. Having it, first of all, so far in the open that it's spotted so easily. And second, not having a supply truck with it from the get-go. And so instead of the planes being punished, the AA is punished. And that sets back Chich a lot. Not just the loss of the tank, but also the loss of the AA. Because without the AA, he can't really advance, as those planes could come around again. Brokami finding the weakness there in Chich's play, the Ihawk being empty, massive issue, and now Chich invests into an M110. That's a slow playing, long game unit, but right now this game seems pretty flexible and fast now. Leo 2s have to disengage there right now. A lot of ATGM coming their way again. Fagot gets a sight hit, tripling a Leo 2 A4C, and the AT plane comes around again. Does miss. More ATGMs coming around. Cheetah at least pushes back the SU-22. But big issues here now for Chich on the ground.
Yeah, very crucially, there are only 3 Ihawks max in the Dutch division, and 2 of them have already been taken out. So the last one getting deployed right now is gonna be has to be constantly microed and defended against both rocket planes, because and microed against the artillery that is out here. Just sending a bait plane, sending a rocket plane or something, finding out the Ihawk's position and then bombarding it could basically earn Pro Commie full air control. There are decent fighter planes, the F-16s, but those are maybe not taken. And also they only have heat seekers. They don't have long range missiles. So against a front line of Cubes, Pro Commie will have the natural air supremacy advantage, and only the Cheetahs and Stingers maybe will be able to stop the diving of the AA planes. But meanwhile, something interesting is happening down south. Cheat finally moving their units. And this could be very crucial, especially if they start going up north with the recon helicopter in play, with a bunch of the... Oh, artillery does not hit the Ihawk.
That would have been absolutely brutal. Not even sure. I think it tried to counter better with the M110, which was there beforehand, which already fired one salvo. Now aiming onto 120mm mortars there. Igla might find the BO-105. Yeah, does miss it. BO-105 doesn't move yet though. Don't think Chich realized that. So BO-105 likely gonna get shut down here. Next Igla does miss as well. But still no action here. Ihawk comes around. M110 gets rid of a 120mm mortar. Does move around again. The 152mm artillery piece on the other side. The Akatsiya here is aiming for some frontline positions as well, and Pro Commie back on a +2 here now. Captures Anna back, has some SU-22s out again, and yeah, 4th Division here, struggling to keep the airs clean, as Cheetahs always struggling to quite get the kills there on their own. You usually want to have them in pairs or triplets. In triplets, Cheetahs are the best gun-based AA in the game, so usually 2 are enough, but in triplets they for sure get you a kill against everything. So lacking that here is a bit of a mistake in my eyes by Chich, but artillery here now being involved on both sides. M110 can make a big difference as well if it can hit enemy tank plops that can smack them into smithereens as well. Currently aiming for the enemy coup, so that might at least enable the F-16s, but Chich eventually will have to push in here.
Yeah, the MiG-23 ML diving in likely only wanting to fly. There was no reason to fly in unless you just wanted to see where the Ihawk was. And immediately the artillery is aiming at the straight middle of the Ihawk. The Ihawk has been loaded up and is moving out there. But meanwhile, as it's getting moved, the rocket planes can just go, and the AT planes can go and try to get some kills.
Yeah, the SU-22 gets shut down. AT plane gets pushed out as well. iHawk doesn't aim fast enough here. Artillery will miss. Good movement here. Great micro by Chich. Oh no, Chich moving the wrong direction again. Oh, Chich. That's where you just were. Chich moving the iHawk into the artillery. The artillery is still missing. Oh. Last round. Does miss.
It's a low cohesion. It's a low cohesion. It's a 0 vet unit, so that is something.
Yeah, but Chich playing with my heart there, like losing it there would have been an absolute disaster. Similar to losing 2 Leo and 1 NLs to Mudschützen in the north, and maybe even more units to that one single Mudschützen, because no infantry is surrounding these units, and RPG 7VL, yeah, getting the white PRs as well. Oh, that's a disaster for Chich, also having to disengage out of this position now. No surrounding infantry. Leo 1 NLs and Leo 2 A4Cs there, still defending. Whilst Chich comes with a big counterattack in the south now. That has a good chance of success. Has to figure out the Mudschützen position. And the Panzer Infantry does that right now. So 1 NLs can engage here now from a safe distance. Can be microed. BO-105 spots all of this. YPR still gets wiped out by the Mudschützen. Ah, Chich, be careful. No, Mudschützen pushing forward. Will be in range again here. Will get another RPG shot. Another good hit. You have to be careful around these kind of hard-hitting AT weapons. Leo 1NL goes down again. Procomi gets the maximum out of his forces there. Gets more damage out there. Finally, the F5 gets the kill there, but that's obviously a bit overkill onto a Mudschützen like that. MI2 Urns now coming around, but there's a cheetah. So this push in the south at least should work. But Chich will need more than that. That will only stop the take. He will need to get the take up elsewhere, and T-72 reaction already on the way here for Procomi.
Yeah, like I'm thinking that attacking up north could have maybe been the more reliable solution, because right now the entire massive front line of Chich can have nothing to do about this attack. Now Procomi is sending reinforcements on 2 ends and trying to cut off this attack, much like in the last game where the successful breakthrough of Chich's was cut off by simple map control. And instead, if this could have been a pincer attack where Chich's front line could actually try to participate in this. Right now, Chich's front line up north is exchanging fire on long ranges, shooting at some Motorschützen units and trying to avoid getting Maljutgard as a Leopard 1 NL.
Leo 2A4C here. Engaging against T-72 MEV. MEV gets a decent hit. Leo 2A4C and B coming around. Does miss. Gets hit again by the MEV. Gets pushed back. Will have to be repaired. T-72 in the middle fighting Leo 1s. That's a great for the T-72S. Yeah, gets a good hit there. BMP 1s getting taken out, but so do the forces in the south of Chich. Chich tries to get a CV in there, but that won't get through. Chich should call that back. Yeah, is trying to do so now. I'm not sure if it's in time though. Nope, it gets picked off beforehand, and now we have a big Procomi counterattack here in the south. It's already a +2, and the Chich's forces now will have to go onto the defense, as he otherwise will get overrun in the south. The trades here really not going into our blue player's favor here. And it's Procomi is using the 9th Panzer really well, and yeah, really shows that this division is still on the menu.
Yeah, I mean, Chich is counterattacking here. YPRs and Leopards getting some damage done. There is currently only 2 T-72s in the front line up north. One of them is hurt and one of them is 0 vet. And number of Leopards all around the place, as well as a bunch of these Prats, which are very heavy ATGM carriers, not like the light ATGM carriers or the BMP ones. Chich is currently lacking supply in the proper places right now, probably having to spend everything in trying to create a barrier to the southern attack. Southern attack here, blind BMP 1s going out there. As long as the BO-105 can spot them, the Leopard can should be able to clean this up pretty nicely. And also the units in the backline, the Natras and the Panzerinfanterie, will give practical recon whenever Pro Commie actually start. If Pro Commie tries to push into Olga, could be that Chich might be doing a little bit of an over investment into the defenses here, but of course only Pro Commie knows that. If Pro Commie just cleans this up and then moves all of their reinforcements up north, will Cheech once again be saddled with a pretty expensive group of units down south not doing anything?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Chish slowly posturing in the north again, but the loss of the Northern Forest Force, the Leo 1 NLs and the TOW 2 team there going down, means that his pushing power against T-72s has been heavily reduced there. So his Leo 2s that need to be repaired here will have a lot of work cut out for them. 2A4Bs coming around, and once more, mostly blue units dying right now. This game for sure closer than the first one. The trades here a decent bit better by Chish, but currently still not quite good enough. Currently the 9th Panzer here still runs around him, and Brocomi shows us that this division, even after the nerfs, is still viable.
Yeah, Panzerinfanterie meeting the enemy and missing with the Carl Gustav down south. Some kills, the kill feed turning red for a moment, but looking at the amount of reinforcements coming on both sides, Cheech has infantry left, it seems. Cheech is buying infantry and only infantry, and whereas there are still ATGMs coming from Pro Commie's side, and with the existing tank numbers being what they are, I don't think it is impossible here for Cheech to get back into this game somehow, but that would necessitate air control, and air control is just not going to happen. 4 attack planes from Pro Commie coming in here every time Cheech tries to push out, every time Cheech gets into a position. The planes exist here as a deterrent. And Pro Commie is probably pretty okay taking some bad engagement every once in a while, as long as they can almost take out the Eyehawk, almost nearly taking out the Eyehawk here.
Yeah, the cheetahs just not quite numerous enough. Like 2 or 3 more cheetahs here, like 2 more cheetahs actually, and all these SU-22s would be made into mincemeat. But he never kills a single SU-22 while slightly being attritioned away, and that snowballs. That snowballs heavily, and yeah, not being able to kill off any SU-22s, a massive mistake in this game here for Chish, a massive issue. The headache is real, as those can be threatening to, especially your big Leo 2A4Bs can one-shot them even frontally and be really cost efficient in that. So you have to be super careful with that. And yeah, the lack of cheetahs here and Stinger teams really a big issue for our player.
Cheech has not moved. There is no transport truck. The artillery is aiming at the Eyehawk right now. Double salvo coming right up. First hit kills. Eyehawks are done.
Yeah, and we have no replacements. We have finally a Stinger coming in, but usually, as I said, you want to have groups of 3, 2, 3, 4 cheetahs bunching around, and then when something flies over, they just light it up. But this just didn't happen this game. The cheetahs never quite got the kills, and then the enemy air kept on snowballing, because if you don't quite kill them, yes, they will be out for a bit longer, but they will be back eventually and eat away on your forces a bit more. And the +2 here keeps on ticking, and Sheesh needs to stop it now. Only 30 minutes remaining. That's not all that much time. Finally gets an S-22 here. He got one of the cubes earlier killed with artillery, so his F-16 here did get through, gets the kill. That's finally a good one. Needs 1 or 2 more of those, stopping the AT planes, but for now, at least something. A slight win here, and he now needs to get the thing rolling, taking both Anna and Sign to really get a good tick online here.
The artillery firing and not getting the counter battery here, not the counter battery hit here right now. Cheech has not gotten loose about that. Cheech has an very powerful force down south with 2 leopards and bunch of Panzerinfanterie. And I really would hope to see that these guys start pushing up north. The massed infantry attack also happening up north with the Panzerinfanterie, kind of not knowing where to go, just standing around here and moving into a next forest where there will be nothing for them to fire at. But like Pro-Commie has lost a lot of units, and most of Pro-Commie's important points are on tanks, and the tanks are mobile out here. I think Chich's infantry attack up north here is it's kind of a bad position for him, but also Pro-Commie would have to start moving all the tanks up north to actually do the damage, so maybe that angle can work. Meanwhile, the Prats and the Leopard 2s on long ranges can hold the T-72s on the southern part of the point, and now we're seeing even Leopards just driving straightforwardly in, trying to do as much damage as possible while the T-72s are reloading and repairing.
Yeah, the Leo 2s now need to achieve a breakthrough here. We have a bit of a push in the south coming in as well. Leo 2A4B is there, trying to get through as well. Artillery hitting in front of the Leo 2A4Bs. We have the MEVs still holding the north. Issue is, the tick still also goes in favor of Pro-Commie. So it's not only that she is starting to run out of time, the mountain that he has to climb over is also still getting bigger. So at least getting the southern zone would be helpful, but he doesn't have a CV around there yet. CV Leo is coming in now. His two Leo 2A4Bs there are keeping the aggression up. MEVs on the way on the other side. A good amount of red units once more dying here, including a T-72, so Chich is starting to get things done here. T-72S pushed back. YPR, PRI goes down in the south. +2 situation here though, that's the issue. 10 minutes remaining. 10 minutes 45. MI2 Urine holding the line. YPR is going down again. The center seems to be about captured. That could swing the thing around to a +2 here for Chich. That wouldn't be enough anymore, but at least would be a start. Stopping the tick and starting to get some points. Reducing the mountain he has to get over. And then he could maybe get through to Anna, maybe get to the southern zone. Oh, S222 here, still around. The lack of AA in the south is a big issue. Great counterattack once more with air here by Pro-Commie. No stingers and no cheetahs in the south. And that's a problem. F5 goes down, Panzer Infantry goes down. YPRs in the north get stuck as well. We have MR10s coming around trying to get some kills, but it's not breaking through right now for Chich.
Yeah, the last T-72s here are currently engaging Chich with Chich's tanks not doing anything. Okay, airplanes coming in for a counterattack here, getting nice cohesion, bad damage, and maybe a stinger punish on the rocket plane. Yeah, actually getting a nice damage done there. But at this point, Chich has a command tank down south. That command tank is going to move and get that position, which will then put Chich into +2, which is not enough, needs a +3. So the northern position of Anna also has to be captured. But right beyond Anna is a horde of BMP-1s. And these are the 0-bit variants, which means that they are probably out there in numbers, and Pro-Commie can probably last for the rest of the game, just buying more of them and sending them into that meat wave grinder.
T-72S keeping on the shots there. +2 is still taking up here for Pro-Commie. It's now 1,200 point difference. That second Leo 2A4 leader comes up now. But yeah, you need to get this take here finally as Chich moves the tank up. Will try to get around. Motschützen still engaging there up north. BRM 1K moving up. T-72 MEV will try to push forward as well. As we have a good engagement here in the center. Leo 2A4 getting forward. Needs to find a kill there. Needs to get through. Oh no, one goes down to a Fagot side shot. And now comes the counter push here from Pro-Commie with the T-72S and MEVs. Trying to finish off some of the Leos that are damaged. Gets the cheetah, that's nice as well. Will allow the planes to come around a bit stronger. +2 about to happen now in the center here. But as we said, this is not quite enough. Leo to A4B coming around in the north. We have Laros going back. Leo to A4B moving forward as well. The one in the south gets picked apart. We likely gonna have a counter attack there now from Procomi towards Olga or Sign through the south as well. So the situation here is deteriorating for Chich once more. Needs to get some really important kills there so that they can move somewhere, but it feels like it goes the other direction right now. HE Bomber coming around again. Will get the T-72S there. That's a nice kill, but there's still 2 more. So the Leo 2A4B leader in the middle still has a heavy fight in front of it.
I'm sorry, I was I think I got the bug. I got locked a little bit further back by some seconds, but I'm catching up now.
Okay, 2A4B here, still engaging the T-72S. Will try to get the kill. Stinger goes down. Panzer Infantry in the south does go down as well. BRM and T-72 MUVs here keep on the pressure. 6 minutes remaining. We have a +2 for Chich. It's slowly closing the gap, but way too slow. Needs a +4 here, or maybe even more at this stage, to actually turn this around, as there's still a 1000 ward point gap between these two. So the TOW2 also goes down. Procomi now starting the counter push here towards Olga. More light units coming around here on the side of Chich. T-72 MEV getting some good fights in there. We have a bigger counter push from Procomi in the north, at least holding. The Leo 2A4 leader is actually getting pretty close there. Oh, actually nothing stops it there. Procomi has no units in the northern town, and all his units moved into the center. Is there a leader on the battlefield for Procomi?
Yes, right on this SPW-40 next to Ku.
Oh yeah, that needs to get something done again, as it is about to go to a +4. Leo 2A4B will maybe try to move south. That SPW, it could soon get into Sign again, stop the whole thing again, as we're about to get to a +4 now. 5 minutes remaining, 160 points per minute. Ticking slowly up here.
I'm doing some math here, and I'm not sure a +4 is actually enough. It's 160 times 5. Yeah, which is only 800 points. So this is very barely a loss for Chich, even if they hold the +4 here. Would require a +5 at this point.
Yes, and we have an SPW actually moving north, and I don't quite see where Chich is supposed to get the points from here now. SPW also so far not spotted. Likely gonna get in and reduce it back to a +2, and that will break this for Chich again. The center also gets overrun. There is no other CV. There is a CV now in the south for Procomi, actually, that also could move towards the center. It starts moving there again. We have a +3 only now for Chich, and the tick is getting reduced even further. 4 minutes 20. Not enough to turn this around. SPW 40P2 coming towards the middle, and Modschützen and Modaufklärer moving forward, killing off the Leo 2A4 CV there most likely in a second. Yes, the RPG, yes they do. Nothing can stop the SPW from getting back into the middle. That will swing the game around here in favor of Procomi in the take rate as well. And Chich's attack here, not strong enough, not far enough. The air and the ATGM wall play of Procomi reigns superior in the second game as well. Really well established here, and it does seem like there is nothing here that can stop Procomi anymore.
Yeah, I mean, was there ever anything? Last season, yes, but this season we're seeing. I'm very, very interested in seeing this. Procomi maybe took the T-72 nerf as a little bit of a challenge. Who knows? The very interesting, like managing to find a proper aggro, like working aggro strat with 9th is very useful, I think, because a lot of the more powerful divisions, your 79s, your 20th Panzerers, will probably get banned as the league goes on. So having the ability to play these kinds of games, the aggro into the long range T-72S defense is
So
probably a
yeah,
very
we
good
we have the
tool input.
end of the game here, and don't you get confused here. Yes, it was a disconnect by Procomi here, but as the game was in an unwinnable position for Chich, Chich came forward and gave the win to Procomi. Really fair and great move by Chich. Based on the base rules, Chich would have gotten the win there, or but yeah, with Procomi being in a position where they were in an unbeatable lead, Chief accepted that the disconnect. I think this was played on the patch before the hotfix, so yeah, Procomi had a crash there because of the issues based on that, and with the new drivers and so on, hopefully this doesn't happen again. And yeah, Chish did give the W here to Procomi, which was deserved here because Procomi did get the better game out of this.
Yeah, I mean, Cheech is absolutely no softy. And this map, the strategy of going full on with the mech, avoiding the middle, not even trying to contest the expected middle positions, instead going straightforwardly up the northern angle. That was very brave of Cheech. Could have resulted in a pro-commie counter-attacking straight up to Cheech's spawn. But Cheech having the faster and better tanks there kind of forced the pro-commie into holding the middle as a large and wide front line. I think by the time the both of the divisions kind of were on the board already, when all the stuff had been bought, at that point, I think it was the pro-commies very traditional, purposeful sniping of the AA units, and then playing it as carefully as possible, always allowing the enemy to attack first before punishing them with the planes, and then following that punishment by exploiting the advantage with a little bit of slow tank pushing, with the BRMs spotting and T-72s doing the shooting. And meanwhile, cheap ATGM still holding the front line, working very well, and constantly, even now, I could see I was trying to keep tabs on how many smokes the Leopard 2s were firing, and the Leopard 2s were firing a lot of smokes. There were a lot of side shots that happened on long ranges by Fagots and Malyutkas. A lot of extra cohesion damage that just meant that tanks were pulled out of fights early. And in all, I'm very happy and excited in seeing the new evolutions of pro commie strats.
Yeah, and it's likely now that he's gonna make it into the playoffs. I believe one more game remaining against Medi, but yeah, that is the last one. Yeah, we even can have a look here into all of this in 1 second, so that we can have a look what the current situation is in the division. Just have to take away the spoilers, then we can have a look there into Division 1. Procomi getting a win there. Actually, lacking some games here that have to be put in. But yeah, for Procomi, it looks like this. So we had Skific beating Medic. So Skific in the lead. And Procomi versus Medi here. And Chich versus Medi still remaining. But yeah, Skific tying against Chich. Procomi did get the win there. So one more point needed here for Procomi, and then they will make it safely through. No, as they even won against Chich, even if Chich wins against Medi. Yeah, Procomi is through as well. So Skific and Procomi will make it through. The question is just in which position. So yeah, really interesting position here in Division 1. We will have to put on the other results here into the other groups as well. And yeah, hot stuff here in Division 1. We got to be back with more casts either Sunday or next week, guys. I'm traveling the next 2 days again. Have holiday this week at work. That's why I was able to do these casts, but going to my hometown to enjoy the beach in Rostock a bit and meeting friends there. And I will still record some videos, but yeah, gonna be on holiday until early next week. So we're gonna have more streams there. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget to follow over at Climax channel for
Yes,
some more
as
lovely stuff.
if Protoss is leaving and not casting, that's probably going to leave me a little bit of time to do my own streams recently. A lot of stuff to talk about, you guys. A lot of stuff happening right now. Very excited.
Yeah, if you haven't done that, go over there right now, guys. Follow over at his channel. Thanks to all of you for watching. If you haven't followed here, obviously do that as well, and leave a like on YouTube to help out the algorithm, the almighty one. And yeah, let's end it here, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.
Bye-bye. I'm so hungry. I'm gonna go eat right now.